Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Boy, it looks great out there this morning. I sure appreciate everyone being here. It is customary. Well, first of all, I need to call the Nash County Board of Commissioners meeting for November the 4th to order at this time. It is customary for us to begin our meetings with a prayer by a city commissioner and then a pledge of allegiance to the flag. If you will join us in those two items. During the prayer, you're welcome to stand and join the commissioner in that prayer. You're welcome to use it for your own prayer, or you're welcome to use it for a moment of silence, how you're led this morning. That will be done by Commissioner Gwen Wilkins, and then Commissioner Outlaw will lead us in the pledge of allegiance to the flag. And at this time, I'll call on Commissioner Wilkins. Thank you.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, this is the day you have made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. Lord, we may not know what this day holds for us, but we know who holds the day. Bless all who are gathered here today. Bless our first responders who left their families, friends, and loved ones to aid those ravaged by the devastation of Hurricane Helene. Bless those first responders who were willing to go, but instead stayed here in Nash County to ensure coverage. Dear Lord, as always, we ask for wisdom and understanding today and always. We know trials will continue to come, and we ask for your strength and determination to remain strong as we go about the business of Nash County. In Jesus' name, let everyone say amen.
Amen. Would you join us in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioners. At this time, we're on item number 4, which is approval of the minutes for the previous month. Those consist of 2 meetings. On October the 4th, we had a joint meeting with the Nash Public School Systems, and then our regular meeting on October the 7th. You have those minutes on your iPad this morning, and at this time, I will accept a notation for any changes or corrections that you may have to the minutes, or an approval of the minutes as written. So I'll call for that motion or either any corrections at this time.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Outlaw.
There's a typo on the last page relative to the emergency services vote at our last meeting.
Yes, sir.
And I made the manager aware of that, but it's too late to make the change. So with that change being made, I would move for approval of the minutes.
Second. All right, have a motion on the floor for approval and a second by Commissioner Belfield. Is there any questions on that notation? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion as stated, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed by a like sign. Minutes stand approved. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we're now on item number 5, which is public comment. And this Board of Commissioners is glad to hear from our citizens at the first meeting every month that we have. And we do have a sign-up period out front. I had one person to sign up this morning, but I will listen to those first, and we're going to have some adjustments to this public comment period a little bit later on our agenda, some minor adjustments, but if there is someone else here that did not sign up, didn't realize you needed to, after I get those that signed up, we'd be glad to hear from you because our board does like to hear from our citizens. That one person was and of course, if you're on the agenda somewhere else, we would ask for you to wait to that point, like a public hearing or whatever it may be. But if you are here and want to speak under public comment, the first person I have is Sheila Freeman. And if you would come forward, Sheila, and if it's the Sheila that I know, we're very pleased to see you this morning. Former employee of Nash County. If you would state your name, not necessary, and address for the record, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, it's Sheila Freeman. I have a home on Redbud Road, Castello. I appreciate your time this morning. I'm no more anxious to be up here this morning than I was 12 or 14 years ago when I tried to get up here. But in full transparency, I was Nash County's first HR director with 20 years of prior experience in HR and benefits experience. I am now a Nash County benefits eligible retiree. During my tenure with the county, I, along with others, including Benefit Legal Counsel, combined several older policies in about 2007, I think, into one retiree benefits policy. That was to incorporate updated terminology and to make it into one document. There were no changes to anyone's benefits at that time. I tell you this to let you know that I feel like I have a pretty good understanding of the county's benefit policy and health benefits in general. At the last commissioners' meeting, there was a presentation requesting a change to retiree medical insurance. I really appreciate Commissioner Outlaw's discussion and his desire to include retirees in the process. I also appreciated your vote to allow the county manager to make the final decision, taking into account the concerns of the retirees. Since October the 22nd, some retirees have communicated their concerns to the manager, and we appreciate her willingness to listen and her recommendation today to delay that decision until August of next year. But we feel so strongly about this issue, we felt we needed to go on record with the commissioners and let you know we are not in favor of transitioning to this plan now or anytime in the future. I am concerned that many retirees who seem to be offering an overwhelmingly positive response to staff about transitioning to the MATPD plan do not fully understand it. As you know, health benefits are complicated, and Blue Cross Blue Shield did not provide the staff with a comprehensive summary to present at the meetings. If everyone had received apples to apples comparison, it would have helped, but most people only had what they saw on the screen to compare. At any rate, I'm here to let you know that every retiree I've heard from, directly or indirectly, since I learned of the plan on October the 22nd, is not pleased and not in favor of losing their Medicare supplement plan. There are concerns about having to file our claims for out-of-network providers. There are concerns about how long this plan is guaranteed. There are concerns in general about how Blue Cross Blue Shield would be in determining treatments and requiring referrals for specialists. I'll not take any more of your time, but felt I needed to let you know that on behalf of myself and other retirees, this is not a simple change that will streamline administration for staff and offer some additional benefits. And I hope this will help with any future changes considered involving Nash County employees or retirees. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Freeman. Again, good to see you this morning. Are there others that wish to speak under public comment? Seeing no movement, we will move on to item number 6. And item number 6 is a recognition of the county personnel who have assisted our western North Carolina neighbors since the hurricane. And honestly, I see this as an item to show what Nash County is really like. I'll turn it over to the manager this time.
Thank you, and good morning. I would like to just call all of our folks forward. Good morning, Sheriff. If you all could just come up here and stand before the board, please. How are you doing? Thank you. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. Thank you all. Thank you all for joining us this morning. This is a large group of folks, and we won't keep you too long, but we did want to take an opportunity to recognize you for your service out west to our western neighbors, and allow our board to express their appreciation as well. So I'll just get to the agenda item here. Nash County has provided our neighbors in western North Carolina with personnel support since the end of September. The Nash County Sheriff's Office, has deployed a third group as late as last week and is dedicated to assist in whatever way we can. Staff aided in initial recovery efforts using cadaver canine units and assisted multiple families with the return of their loved ones. Others provided welfare checks on remotely located citizens and offered essential food and water and surveyed them for their immediate needs. For several weeks now, staff have been providing security and patrol details for the Yancey County Sheriff's Office. In addition to our sheriff's personnel and equipment, Nash County Fire Departments have also deployed resources to Western North Carolina. Staff and equipment from the Brattleboro Fire Department, Nashville Fire Department, and Castalia Fire Department have been providing support on and off since September 29th, 2004. Our fire department personnel have been assisting with missions across McDowell and Avery counties. They have been performing welfare checks, drone operations, and manning fire departments during their deployments. In addition, they've been clearing roads for emergency vehicles, delivering supplies to stranded residents, answering calls for service, and providing training and organizing donated goods and equipment. The Castalia team was also deployed with the Urban Search and Rescue Team to provide recovery and decontamination assistance. We are extremely proud of the men and women who have answered the call and sacrificed their daily duties with work, family, and friends to go west to lend a hand. Nash County is familiar with the destruction and devastation of Mother Nature that Mother Nature can create, but none of our experience compares to the change in the landscape that our western neighbors are navigating. A heartfelt thank you to each of you who have shared your skills and time with those west of us. Your compassion and hard work make a tremendous difference in the lives of those affected by the storm. Know that you are supported here at home, and we care about you and your mental fortitude. You see things and perform work that most of us are unable to comprehend. No thank you is enough for your sacrifice. We hope that you know that you are appreciated. I would love for you all to come forward and turn and face the board, please, because I know that they would like to make some comments to you all. And board, just so that we can identify the individuals that we have in front of you, we've got Sheriff's Office personnel, we've got personnel from, if you would raise your hand, from the Brattleboro Fire Department, Castalia Fire Department, and Nashville Fire Department. Chairman, I'll turn it over to you. I'm sorry. I've changed the landscape on you. I'm sorry.
What I'm gonna do is ask before we come down, when they happily speak, and join me right here, and if y'all will file this way, we'd all like to shake your hand as you leave, if you don't mind doing that. But other than that, I'll turn it over to the board for any comments they may have.
I'll go ahead and start, and everyone in this area has helped in so many different ways, but you all were actually boots on the ground and helping hands right there to help. So I won't belabor my comments, but thank you. Nash County appreciates you, and the citizens of Western North Carolina appreciate you for what you've done.
I included you all in that prayer for a reason. You left your families. You went to an area you didn't know what you were going to expect, and you ought to be commended for it. That's all I can say. And I thank Sheriff Stone for seeing that need and sending you all there and still ensuring that we had coverage behind. So thank you.
Appreciate what y'all did, and I've had a lot of firsthand information on this because my son-in-law spent several days up there, and he just, his words were, you just can't believe what it's like. And if you don't believe in God, you need to go up there. And so I just appreciate what you did in going that extra mile and doing for those people what they really needed at this time, because we don't ever know when it might be our turn, and we need help from them. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for your sacrifice and your time and being a volunteer. I know all of you volunteered to go, and everybody appreciate that attitude to volunteer to help someone in need. That's what you've done. It's highly appreciated and highly recognized that this is an example from Nash County to the rest of the state of how we care about our neighbors. Keep up the good work, and remember, we're always here as commissioners to support you.
Thank you. In 1999, we had a tragic event in the eastern part of North Carolina, and it specifically affected me in Nash County because my mother was flooded completely out, water up to the top of the windows. And I thought at the time, as we went through that home and tore it apart and used a lot of Clorox and things like that, that was the most tragic event that could happen in a person's life. And it was terrible. It was a terrible event here. But then I see what happened in western North Carolina. It's just beyond anything that I can even imagine. And I had the opportunity to reach out to the sheriff during that time. I was praying for you guys. I mean, literally praying for you guys, because I know that you were seeing things that were just unimaginable to most of us. When you've got cadaver dogs that are detecting people under mud, and it's just a terrible thing that you've experienced. And I don't think I could say anything that would express how much I appreciate what you did, what you do every day. And I know that it's not always apparent that we appreciate you folks like we do, but we do. And thank you again for what you did. And I'm here, and I'll always do what I can do to support the sheriff's office. Thank you, Sheriff. Thank you guys from the fire departments and from Nashville for going and doing your duty and pausing your life here to do for others that were in need.
First of all, I want to thank all of you from Sheriff's Department, the Fire Department. Your training, I'm sure you did a wonderful job, because now with the climate change, we're going to have to depend and work with one another in order to survive. And that's what God wants us to do, because he mentions in the scripture love over 300 times. And that means we need to love one another, understand one another, work with one another. And you did that. And I'm thankful, grateful that you did, because we never know where these devastating storms or the weather will hit. And we may need help, and they come and help us. So congratulations on a job well done, and keep on learning more about disasters, first responders, and do your duty. We appreciate, you may not hear it all the time, but we do appreciate what you do.
If I could ask the board to come down this way now and do it.
Can we just give them a round of applause?
Oh, yeah. They have said a lot, and I really appreciate it, and Sheriff, if you are still in here, if you are not, but what I appreciate most is I heard from several people that had a lot of damage up there. And one of my classmates that, some of you people from the sheriff's department actually got to, she didn't have any way to get to her home, and she was so appreciative to see people from Nash County show up. So thank y'all for everything you've done, and I'm sure you're ready to do it most any time, but that's just the way we are in Nash County. Thank you for being here today. You were finished with that item?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. We'll now move on to item number 7, and quite frankly, item number 7 is not one that any of this board looks forward to doing. I would be the first to say that, but life is what it is, and we are here today to approve a resolution for one of our members. This will be his last full meeting, and I'd just like to say a few things and then read the resolution, and then I'm going to ask the board to have their comments after we do the resolution, if that's okay. And it's for, of course, Commissioner in the 3rd District, Mr. Dan Combs. Dan, prior to 8 years ago, I knew who Dan Combs was, but I really didn't know Dan Combs. In the last 8 years, I've got to know Dan Combs, quite frankly. And I feel like I know Dan Combs very well now. And what I know now is Dan is a man that places his family first above all, particularly his grandchildren, and just hearing him talk. And I share that sentiment with him, or that way of life with him, because there's nothing, quite frankly, like grandchildren. What I also know is that Dan is a great public service in many ways, in many, many ways. Dan is a commissioner that works very hard for his District 3. Dan is a man that will stand his ground and will be as bullheaded as the occasion calls for him to be. But yet, a man that moves on to the next task with a fresh start every time. That is something that's hard to do, and it's something that I've had to teach myself to do as well. But on this board, we have difficult decisions to make. And when we close out a decision, it's very important to be able to start fresh again, and Dan is certainly great at that, and I've learned from him how to do that even better, I hope. Dan, before I read this resolution, I'd just like to say, sir, a job well done, and thank you for it. Our resolution prepared by staff says, whereas Mr. Dan Combs served as a member of the Nash County Board of Commissioners for 8 years, having been elected to the seat for Commissioner District 3 in 2016. And whereas during his long tenure as a member of the Board of Commissioners of Nash County, Dan Combs was always worked diligently to represent the needs and constituents of his district, but also all of the citizens of Nash County. Whereas his service, wisdom, guidance to Nash County have contributed to the growth and economic welfare of Nash County, and whereas during his tenure on the Board of Commissioners, Nash County has accomplished a great deal, and I do mean a great deal, included but certainly not limited to updating the land development plan for Nash County, allowing controlled growth while protecting our agriculture in Nash County, constructing a new senior center in southern Nash County, constructing a new courthouse focusing on the safety of both court personnel and the citizens of the county, completing and selling 2 shell buildings in the Middlesex commercial park, expanding our parks and recreation services in Nash County with the projects such as Miracle Park at Coopers, expanding broadband, which he has worked very hard on, happened to serve on that committee with him, and he has been our leader from day one. To get it to the underserved portions of Nash County, establishing also a third EMS station, which was a very important item to him when he first got elected in District 3, to provide more efficient emergency services to the citizens in that district. Building a new Pet Connection Center, constructing Charter of Freedoms out here at the courthouse, helping to secure grants committing additional matching funds to construct a new state-of-the-art Red Oak Elementary School, increasing the county-funded teacher supplements and improving the pay structure for the Sheriff's Department as well as the EMS Department that he worked very hard on during the last year. Also, Dan worked on a project, the new jail addition that we had here, very diligently. And I watched Dan during that process, and he, I thought, represented the person that held that seat prior to him, Mr. Billy Morgan, a very long time. But Billy always liked to say he was willing to do what we needed, but not necessarily what we wanted sometimes. And Dan remembered that during that process, and certainly he was an advocate for adding on to the jail and providing what we needed for Nash County, and we're bringing that project to a close, and I appreciate your help on that as well, Dan. Whereas, while serving the Board of Commissioners, Mr. Cone faithfully and ably served on the following: the Consolidated Human Services Board, the Trillium Health Resource Advisory Board, the Agricultural District Advisory Board, and the Home and Community Care Block Grant Committee. And of course, there are many other committees during the time of service that commissioners serve on, and Dan certainly was willing to do anything that he was asked to do and do it well. Whereas Mr. Combs helped lead the county through the difficult COVID-19 period, implementing successful protection measures for the employees of the county while continuing to provide services to the citizens. And whereas Mr. Combs' excellent, and I mean excellent attendance record at Board of Commissioners meeting, joint school board meetings, special call meetings, and recess meetings is strong evidence of his dedication to Nash County. Whereas Mr. Combs' love for Nash County is exceeded only by the deep love he has for his family, his wife Doris, their children, and the grandchildren as well, of course. Whereas the effort and contributions of Mr. Combs will be long remembered and appreciated by his fellow commissioners and the citizens of Nash County. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Nash County Board of Commissioners hereby honor the public service of Mr. T. Dan Combs. The board wishes to express its great appreciation for your years of service, for your professionalism, and most important, Mr. Combs, your friendship. This will be adopted the 4th day of November, 2024, and will be signed by myself and tested by the clerk, Janet Evans. At this time, I'd entertain a motion to adopt the resolution as read.
So moved.
Have a motion by everyone on the board, which is great. Will everyone also second it?
Second.
Have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by a like sign? Mr. Combs, thank you, sir. And I would like to open the floor up at this time for other commissioners. Ms. Leggett, I'd be glad to start with you, being the closest one. Any comments you may have, closest in district is what I mean, that you may have to say about our friend, Mr. Combs.
Well, Dan, thank you for your service to Nash County. You've always been a champion for District 3 and for all Nash County citizens. You've never had a shortage of common sense and a way of putting things like they need to be put and said, and I appreciate that. You've always been a friend to agriculture and to rural Nash County. We're forever grateful. And again, thank you, and I will miss serving with you on this board.
Mr. Ayrton, can I move that way, sir?
Okay. Well, Dan. We appreciate the camaraderie on the board here, and I believe the chairman said you were bullheaded. And I'm going to say ram-headed, okay? So, meaning that you always tried to make his point clear, and he stood steadfast with his opinion. Also, you know, when we took a break and we went in executive session and we had lunch, I learned, I sit right across from Dan, and I learned how to eat a sandwich. Yep, he showed me how to put that sandwich away in time so we can get started with the meeting. Yeah. So I appreciate that. All in all, like I said, Dan, one good thing, we could disagree, but you never called me out of my character name, and I protest that to being your religious conviction. I know you're very founded in your conviction to your religion, and that shows in your character and the way you treat others. I appreciate that, and we'll try to keep the fond memories that we have. Thank you.
I do want to say the bullheaded comment is one I heard from Mr. Combs many times himself, otherwise I wouldn't have stated that.
Did I tell you, did I call you bullheaded or something?
I think more times than I did you, to be honest with you. Mr. Belfield.
Dan, we'll miss you. We have worked together. Well, we may not start out with the same idea about a situation, but we end up working together and to find a solution to all the issues that we face. And I like that. I appreciate working with people that just, as my father used to say, you're hard-headed, can't get nothing in your head. But we work together well, and I will miss that. I will miss you in doing that. But I wish you well, you and your family, and your children and grandchildren. I know there are some things that you can do, even though you may not be a commissioner. And just as saying say, keep the faith, keep looking up, and I know everything will be all right for you and your family.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Wilkins, I skipped over you. I realize I'm going to come back to you.
I'm fine. Everyone out there knows I'm a straight shooter, and Dan, you sure know it. So I'm going to say what I need to say. It's a lot I could say about Dan, and I prepared these comments because they needed to be said, and I didn't want to miss anything. He is not someone you can buy. He is not someone you can push around and sway from his convictions. What you see is what you get. When Dan did not bow down or kowtow to those with deep pockets, they ran ugly, damaging radio ads. When Dan didn't vote like they felt he should vote, they ran someone against him. Through it all, Dan maintained his dignity, his integrity, and his character. Now, I'll move on to something else. I won't say Dan and I never gave each other the side eye. We did. I won't say I didn't kick him under the table in closed sessions at times, and yes, we looked at each other and rolled our eyes numerous times, then we bust out laughing. We understood each other. I may not have liked some of his decisions, and he may not have liked mine, but as a commissioner, you shoot your best shot, argue your case, and hope you have a majority. He believed what he believed, and he did what he felt was best for District 3 and Nash County. Yes, I will miss joking with him and kicking him under the table, but most of all, I will miss his input, his humor, and his decency. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Wilkins. Vice Chair Outlaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I spent a lot of time thinking about what I would say today. As a matter of fact, I wrote several pages, but I left them at home because I want to say what I want to say, and I want to express my thoughts to Dan directly, not to the audience, but to Dan directly. When Dan came on this board, his first priority was EMS. That was his first priority. And he lobbied diligently for an EMS station in that part of the county, and he got it. He got it. Furthermore, with EMS, he strongly supported EMS going to the 24/72 shift. That was not a no-brainer for some of us. It took some convincing that that was the thing to do. But Dan pushed that effort, and that was a request by EMS. That was not something that just popped up in the heads of 7 commissioners or 1 commissioner. That was a request from EMS, 24/72. And I think it's working out pretty good, actually. That change led to an increase, an authorized increase in headcount from 76 to 110. That's the commitment that Dan Cohn and this board made to EMS. And Dan was the strongest pusher of that situation. Dan, during his service on this board, oversaw increases in employee salaries almost a third. So in his time on this board, county employees have seen almost a third increase in their salary. That's no small deal. That's a big deal. Dan, during his tenure on this board, oversaw or was responsible for funding and resources to the sheriff's office, which led to CALEA certification. I know you've heard the sheriff many times speak of CALEA certification. It's a certification of law enforcement agencies, and it's very rare that a law enforcement agency would receive that certification. And you don't receive it if you don't have the resources and the funding that you need. So Dan served on this board during that time. Dan was a strong proponent for the Middlesex Corporate Center. That's a growing area. There's 2 shell buildings up. There's committed businesses to those shell buildings. There's a 3rd being built. Dan was a proponent for that. Just so much that he has done on this board that nobody really realizes the impact that he's had. Broadband. He has pushed and pushed and pushed for broadband. And I say it this way. I don't say he's bullheaded. Here's the way I say it. Dan was elected in his district, so therefore he's going to be a primary advocate for his district. But Dan supports all of Nash County. Sometimes Dan supported his district almost to a fault for the rest of the county, and that's a compliment. That's not a negative statement. Dan pushed and pushed and pushed to get things in the southern part of the county. And I said all this to say this. I know Dan well. Just a couple of weeks back, I had the opportunity to be in Myrtle Beach, and his wife called my wife and said, "Guess where I am?" She said, "Where are you?" He said, "I'm going to Myrtle Beach." I said, "Well, gosh, that's where we are." So we had the opportunity to have dinner together. Here's what I want to say about Dan Cohn. He is a man of faith. He is a humble man. He is not a man that's going to be contentious and go low. He's always going to keep the high ground. I don't know all the things that were said or done that affected his run for that seat. It really doesn't matter at this point. That's history. But I can tell you this, I've said this many times, I'd rather lose this seat, and I know Dan feels the same way, than to lose my integrity. And I can tell you this, he's a man of God, he's a man that loves his family, He's a man that cares for Nash County, and nobody will ever do any more on this board for that part of the county than Dan Cone has done. He's one vote, and he's used that vote very effectively for the southern part of the county. So Dan, I say to you, you are leaving today with your integrity, and that's more important than that seat you're sitting in right now. I love you like a brother, and I appreciate what you have done on this board. I love your wife, I love your family, and I just wish you the best. And I'm not going to forget you when you leave. We're going to still have dinner together.
Thank you, sir.
All right, we actually going to present the resolution today, I think. How do you want us to do that?
We can ask him to come down and with his family and
Okay.
get a picture.
That'd be great.
May I have a moment?
You can have a moment, ma'am. You can have all you wish.
I just wanted to take an opportunity to let you know, Dan, how much I appreciate you and our work relationship. I am privileged and honored to have worked as your manager. And I just want to say thank you. You've been such a strong advocate for our seniors. You've been such a strong advocate for public safety, for EMS, our law enforcement. And I think it was Commissioner Leggett that used the term common sense, and that is very much appreciated. We have been able to have some very frank conversations and express our thoughts and opinions with one another, and I just want you to know how much I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's give Mr. Commissioner Combs a hand at this time. And I think
Commissioner Cone, if you'd like to come down and
family joined us. Good. See quite a few of them here. Don't be back.
Commissioner?
We're going to do a group picture when you do this one, if that's okay. That suits you, madam.
Hand this off to you and let you get a picture with your family here.
I can get them close up there so you can get it all in the picture.
All right, there. That's good. All right. 1, 2, 3.
All right. Yeah, if we could have the board join Dan down front as well. Between you two ladies.
All right. Everybody ready? 1, 2, 3. So-
Thank you all. I just want to say thank you to all of you. It's been great working with this board. Sometimes you have to be hard-headed if you look at this crowd, you know, you got to kind of stand your ground. But I appreciate all of them, and I just know that they'll continue to do the right thing. And if you're in doubt, just think about me, Gwen. What would I do? You know. But anyway, I appreciate my family, and I appreciate the administration, and Stacy, and Jonathan, and Tia, everybody, and I just appreciate it, and I'm gonna miss you all. Thank you.
Commissioner Combs, all that was good, and now we're going to have to put you back to work, sir, if you're
All right,
okay
sir.
for that. Thank you. We'll move on to item number 8. Item number 8 is the public hearing on the amendment to conditional rezoning CZ 230302 for Skylight Solar Farm. And this time I'll call on Adam Tyson, our planning director, for this presentation.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The property that is the subject of our first public hearing this morning is on the screen before you, outlined in red. These are 3 adjacent tracts of land. They total up to approximately 858 acres, currently owned by Skylight Solar LLC. They're located on the northwest side of Taylor's Gin Road, Castelia, which is just to the east of the actual town of Castelia. If the board will recall, a little over a year ago in April 2023, this subject property was rezoned to an A1CZ agricultural conditional zoning district for the development of the approved but not yet constructed 78.3 megawatt Skylight Solar photovoltaic solar farm facility. And that facility is to include approximately 460 acres of ground-mounted solar panel arrays and a new electrical substation. And this is the layout of that solar farm as it was approved back in 2023. The property owner, along with the developer, NextEra Energy Resources, has submitted a request this morning to amend this previously approved site plan and the development conditions for this conditional zoning district in order to add a proposed 31 megawatt battery energy storage system on approximately 4 acres of the site. And this area right here, which was previously shown as an area to be covered with ground-mounted solar panel arrays, has been called out in this revised site plan as an area of 4 acres for the development of this battery energy solar system. The system will appear similar to a series of shipping containers that would be arranged on a concrete pad, specifically between 30 and 35 of these battery containers. Sealed within each container will be lithium-ion battery cells that are charged from the electrical power grid during daily periods where there is low power demand. These batteries store the energy until it can then be discharged back into the electrical grid at times of high power demand. The purpose of the battery energy storage system is to improve the efficiency, stability, and resiliency of our local electrical power grid without any fuel consumption or harmful emissions. Each of these battery energy storage containers will be climate controlled. They'll be remotely monitored. They include fire prevention and detection systems, and they're designed to prevent any harmful materials from these batteries from reaching the ground and or the water supply in the event of a fire or other incident. Nash County did previously grant zoning approval for a development of a similar battery energy storage system back in January of 2022. It was to be an accessory use to the Redbud Solar Farm, which was previously known as the Gideon Solar Farm. And the Redbud Solar Farm is located just to the southwest of this site, inside the blue boundary here. So it is immediately adjacent to this solar farm on the same side of Taylor's Gin Road. However, when Duke Energy began development of the Redbud Solar Farm, they ultimately elected not to include a battery energy storage system despite the previous approval in their final design for that project. So if approved, this could be the first battery energy storage system constructed in Nash County. As with all rezonings, we consult our comprehensive land use plan. In this case, this request to amend the previously approved rezoning for the solar farm is really neither consistent nor inconsistent with our 2022 land use plan, because that plan makes no specific recommendations regarding battery energy storage systems. This request may be considered reasonable in the public interest and not spot zoning, because it does not propose a change to the current boundary of this A1CZ agricultural conditional zoning district. The proposed system would be a public utility land use similar in purpose to the immediately adjacent Skylight Solar and Redbud Solar farm facilities that are located on either side of this subject site. And in front of the subject site would be an existing Duke Energy substation, which again is another public utility land use. So it's basically surrounded on all sides with that infrastructure, or will be following the construction of the solar farm. This system would be screened from public view by the surrounding solar farm facilities and the existing vegetative buffers that were approved for the solar farm. And the proposed system will store and provide electrical power without creating emissions or producing substantial traffic, dust, fumes, odors, or excessive noise. The Technical Review Committee considered this request back on October 3rd and recommended approval, subject to some recommended development conditions. The Planning Board considered this request to amend conditional rezoning CZ 230302 back on October 21st. The attorney for the property owner, as well as representatives for NextEra Energy Resources, the developer, provided a presentation to the planning board at that time, and I believe they will be providing a very similar brief presentation to you this morning. There were no other members of the public who addressed the planning board at that meeting with regard to the request, and the planning board voted unanimously to recommend approval of the request, subject to the revised development conditions. Your packet this morning includes suggested motions for approval and/or denial. Both motions include a suggested statement of plan consistency and reasonableness. If you will turn to the development conditions that follow the motion for approval, you'll see that in the event that the battery energy storage system is approved, there will be several amendments or revisions to the previously approved development conditions. All the old conditions will remain valid. We'll simply amend them to include the battery energy storage system. With that, I will pause and take any questions that the board has on the staff report. During the public hearing, the applicant will be able to go into much more detail, or as much detail as the board desires, on the functioning and design of the battery energy storage system. But I'll be happy to take any questions that you have on the staff report for this application.
Questions from a board member of staff? Mr. Belfield?
Yes, I know you said this is the first for Nash County. What research has been done using battery energy for solar?
I think first of all, it's
Any
important
reports
to...
out on it?
It's important to realize that the battery energy storage system is not directly related to the solar farm, in that it won't be charged from the solar farm or discharging to the solar farm. This is a convenient location for it because of the type of infrastructure that has to be put in order to plug the solar farm into the existing electrical grid. It is also advantageous that if you're going to have these battery systems, that they can take advantage of the same infrastructure in the same location. I think the applicant will be able to go into some more detail as far as the safety record of these and where they have been deployed throughout North Carolina. So if we can just hold that question for the public here, and I think the applicant would be better positioned to answer that question.
Other commissioners with questions at this time? Adam, did you say the Redbud Solar Farm originally had battery storage approved with it?
correct.
So actually, we have approved one before.
We've approved one. Duke Energy purchased that project from the developer prior to construction.
Cool.
And when they are currently under construction, they decided not to pursue it. So this would be the second proposed, but could be the first actually developed.
And could you explain to the board a little bit why this has come back to us?
Sure.
I don't quite understand why it's come back to us since
So-
we have approved one before. If you could just make that clear to us.
Right. Our ordinance requires for a solar farm that the board approve a conditional zoning district, which was done back in 2023 for Skylight Solar, which would be this solar farm. But it makes the zoning district specifically dependent upon a specific site plan. And in this case, whenever there's a substantial change to that site plan, such as the addition of a previously unproposed battery energy storage system, the approval has to come back to the board because it is a significant or substantial change to that specific plan that's tied to that zoning district.
So really, what we're doing is approving the site plan change, but we do that through the conditional rezoning.
Right.
Is what I'm hearing you say.
The actual solar farm approval is not at stake here, just
Right.
the minor revision to add that 4-acre battery energy storage system.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Tyson. All right, if there's no more questions from the commissioners this time, I'd entertain a motion to go into public hearing on this matter.
Move we go into public hearing.
Motion by Commissioner Belfield, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Arrington. Any questions on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed by a like sign? Motion carries. And ladies and gentlemen, we are in a public hearing at this time. If there's anyone here that wishes to speak from the public on this conditional use rezoning, if you would come forward at this time and state your name and address for the record, the board would be tickled to hear from you. Anyone in the audience wish to come forward at this time? I would call on the applicant then to come forward. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Mr. Chairman, members of the Board of Commissioners, first let me say, Mr. Cohen, thank you for your service. We enjoyed hearing that. I am Nick Tosco, and I'm an attorney with Pointer Spruill, and it's good to be here with you to discuss this conditional rezoning amendment. I represent Skylight Solar, which is the owner and applicant for this project, as well as the subsidiary developer, subsidiary of the developer, NextEra. And with me are some of the technical experts from NextEra, as well as the Skylight Solar representative, Chelsea Lucas, who will give you a brief presentation. But we can definitely answer some of the questions that you all raised and any others that you may have. I just want to give you a little brief background. You all heard this original rezoning back when this was approved in April of '23, but Skylight Solar began researching this project and this site back in 2018. They eventually acquired the 3 parcels, as Adam said, and we've been working on this project for years now, trying to make sure that it's good and in a position that we can provide clean, reliable energy to the grid. So as you heard, the Planning Board approved the original rezoning in March of '23, and then this board unanimously approved it in April of '23. Then we came back and realized, after doing some due diligence, that having battery storage added to the site made a lot of sense. And that's why we're here asking for this 31 megawatt battery project on 4 secluded acres of this site. It may have been a little bit hard to see from the site plan, but we were very intentional about the design to ensure that it is in a secluded area such that no residential dwellings will have any view of this battery storage system. I think that's important to highlight, and it will not be visible from any residential homes that are off Taylor's Gin Road. So as you heard from Adam, and as Chelsea will, I'm sure, go into detail on, battery storage system, what is it, what does it do? It really is a way of kind of reducing variability and ensuring that we can store excess energy and then release that energy at times when there is a shortage or high demand, which, as we all know, in this day of storms and hurricanes and everything, it's a valuable commodity to have. So what it's made up of is essentially, as Adam said, several containers that are filled with these lithium-ion battery cells, and they have very sophisticated control systems, which we can describe in more detail, but they have comprehensive safety features. And that is really a top priority of Skylight Solar and NextEra, is ensuring the safety and the compatibility of battery storage systems. I just want to kind of go over quickly the overview of the benefits of this project, because I think it's important for you all to know that and to be reminded of what we discussed back, in April of '23, that this will be contributing a significant amount of clean energy, both the battery storage and the solar farm itself, to the grid operated by Duke. And additionally, the project is anticipated to generate close to $7 million in tax revenue over the life of the project for Nash County residents. It'll create approximately 175 jobs, and the way that it's been designed ensures that it will have no significant noise and will not have negative impacts for adjoining landowners. We've gone above and beyond with the overall site plan to ensure that we go above what the setback requirements are from the UDO. And we've ensured that this battery storage also exceeds what's required from a setback perspective. So we believe that this amendment to the site plan is consistent with the Nash County Comprehensive Land Use Plan. It's not high density. It's consistent with adjoining land uses. As you heard, there are other solar farms right in the nearby area, including one right next to this site. And that battery storage is compliant with the UDO and the specific standards outlined in the UDO in 11-4.72. So for that, we would ask that you approve the rezoning amendment, and we thank you for your consideration of this request. And I'm happy to answer any questions now, or I can answer them along with Chelsea Lucas after she gives her presentation.
Board member have any questions for the attorney at this time? Ms. Leggett?
This question is not so much for you, but I wanted to see, is there a member of the staff that could speak to the safety issues and how they're working with local first responders to make sure that they're trained and aware, just for the board and the public's knowledge?
Yes, we have a safety expert that will provide that, and you'll hear from Chelsea, but we've already done a presentation and training with the fire chiefs, and
Very good.
so she'll go into that in more detail.
Other questions of the attorney?
Yeah.
Mr.
Battery
Belfield?
stored energy. Once it's stored, then where does it go, or what is it used for, energy?
I'm sorry?
Battery stored energy. Where does it go from there?
It goes into the grid through
Into
into
what?
the electric grid, through the transmission line. And I'll let them give, are you asking where does the energy go from the battery storage system
Right.
into the?
Yeah, where from there? From the storage system, to where does it go? The energy.
Yeah.
Mr. Belfield, it goes right into the grid system, just like the energy from the solar farm. It's another method by putting energy into the grid, and then it will be dispersed throughout Duke's
So it
territory.
doesn't go through the solar system.
No, sir.
The solar farm,
It goes
correct.
straight.
Yes, sir. It's two different items that will be supplying clean energy.
Okay.
All right, proceed. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Commissioners. My name's Chelsea Lucas. I am the developer on Skylight Solar and the proposed battery storage system. Appreciate your time this week, and I'm just going to walk through a quick presentation. We did provide the same one to the Planning Board, and then after, I'm happy to answer any questions that any of you may have. I also have my full team here with me today to answer any specific or technical questions. So as you've heard, NextEra is a proud world leader of renewable energy with a portfolio over 30 gigawatts of generating assets and more than 2 gigawatts of battery storage currently in operation. These facilities are critical for Duke, delivering reliable, clean energy when it's needed the most, whether that be during peak demand or simply providing a steady flow of power throughout the day. And while our company is a large company, each one of us are committed to these 3 core values that we live day to day by. Our team has been actively involved with the local chamber of commerce, local nonprofits, and various state and local organizations dedicated to giving back to Nash County as well as other communities that we serve. Most recently donating over $25,000 to local and state organizations providing relief to Hurricane Helene. So why battery storage and why now? Energy storage optimizes the power grid by enhancing its efficiency and reliability. Duke has expressed strong interest in the addition of battery energy storage systems throughout their portfolio and current RFP, prompting this amendment to Skylight Solar. The facility will have large containers filled with racks of smaller battery cells, which will store power at low demand periods and discharge when the demand is high. The system will include multiple self-contained storage enclosures that will house the batteries and the controllers. The controllers are designed to manage the storage systems and provide an additional layer of safety with automated mechanisms to safely shut down the containers if needed. These enclosures will contain an HVAC and battery protection system to ensure its safe operation. And while the batteries are quiet, the HVAC system will be the most evident sound. Given the vegetative buffer and the nearest dwelling being over 1,500 feet away, the noise level will be negligible. NextEra plans and will abide by all regulations of the county, state, and federal regulations to provide a safety management plan for this energy storage system. So as mentioned, on October 22nd, we did host a battery storage safety and fire training with Nash County Fire Marshal and all the fire chiefs. This training covered an overview of the battery storage systems, the guidance on handling the rare occurrence of a thermal event, and a detailed look at the components inside these storage containers. At NextEra, we don't take this responsibility lightly. NextEra operates a state-of-the-art control center at our headquarters in Florida, which monitors all of our facilities across the country 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, ensuring real-time response and system readiness for all of our generating assets. This level of monitoring and oversight means Nash County can trust the safe and reliable operations of the solar facility as well as the proposed energy storage system. So as Nick and Adam have outlined, we're here today to ask for your support on this battery energy storage system. I appreciate your consideration on this amendment as we work together to make Skylight a built success. So happy to answer any questions you have today.
Any questions for Chelsea at this time?
Mr. Chairman, here it says gases may be purged to prevent any buildup in the container. How do you purge the gases?
So I do have one of my battery experts here with me, so I will let her discuss that specifically.
Thank you, Commissioners, and Mr. Chairman, it's good to see you again. My name is Karen Thornton, and I'm the storage expert at, or one of them at NextEra Energy Resources. That's a great question. On the very rare chance that there is a thermal event, we have ventilation systems within our containers, and we also have deflagration panels, which are basically like a pressure release valve. So these gases will not build up, and there are very, very few amount of these gases that will actually be released, and they will dissipate very quickly and pose no threat to the local community. And then I can also answer the safety in general question that you have both posed, and especially within North Carolina specifically. We do know that Duke has at least one other battery storage system in Asheville. It's a little bit smaller than this one, but that's not owned by us. But this would be one of the first ones in this area. But NextEra in general, we have been developing and operating these projects for years, and we are the largest owner and operator of storage systems in the United States. So we have been through all the trials and tribulations, and we know what we're doing. We, like Chelsea has mentioned, we have already worked with the local first responders. We do an orientation with these first responders, and we do an annual training every year as well. But the gist of it is, we make sure the scene is safe. We don't tell the first responders to go into the batteries at all. We just tell them to sit there and pretty much let it burn. And then we will tell them when it's safe based off of our battery management system that's on site and our headquarters that is also monitoring the storage systems. And we are up to code with the National Fire Protection Association's 855, and all of our vendors for our batteries go through testing with the UL 9540A, which just basically means that they will not propagate from cell to cell or module to module within the battery storage systems.
Commissioner Leggett?
So my question was, so NextEra Energy is listed as being the developer. Is NextEra Energy also going to be the operator of the solar farm and this BEES system? And then also, where is the local staff that would respond in case of emergency? I know you mentioned that no first responder is supposed to enter until a staff member is there on site. So can you elaborate on that a little bit, please?
Yes. So can you repeat your first question?
Is NextEra Energy the
Yes.
operator also?
So Duke will be the one that will dispatch us, but then we will respond to that dispatch. So they'll say, like, we need 100 megawatts at this time, then we will actually dispatch that based on what they tell us. And then for your second question,
Yeah, are you asking about the solar farm as a whole?
Yes.
Yeah, so NextEra is the owner-operator, developer of it. The subsidiary Skylight LLC will be owns the property underneath
Okay.
it.
Thank you for that clarification.
And then for your second question, we will have staff nearby the site, and we also will have a 24/7, our headquarters is monitoring every single one of our operations 24/7. So we will be in communication both with the on-site staff and the headquarters, and then we will let the first responders know based off of that.
Thank you.
Other questions for either of these from commissioners?
Yeah, just a couple. How many locations do you have across the country?
I don't have the exact number, but it's about 3 gigawatts worth of storage systems. So I would say we have about 30 storage systems operational right now, and we are planning to, start to increase that number drastically in the future.
How long have you been operational
Since
with the first one?
about 2016.
Okay. How many events have you had since you became operational?
We've had one small event, and everything went to plan. No one was injured. All of our operational triggers went to plan. And I will also mention that that battery was put in place before all of the NFPA 55 codes. So those codes were put into place so that type of stuff will not happen.
Okay.
And so the only event we ever had was before those codes. And
Final
now-
question back to Commissioner Leggett's question about fire departments and first responder training. Is that something that you have done across the county? I mean,
Yeah.
all fire departments? So when I contact my chief, when I go home today, he's aware of this situation that's coming to the county?
Yes, we met with the fire, do you want to comment on that?
Sure. As we understand it, every quarter, all the chiefs and the
Correct.
county fire marshal they hold a meeting. So we went.
So you've done that?
and gave a presentation to those who showed up.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Wayne, I will say, every chief wasn't at that meeting because I chose to attend also. So there were a few that were not there, but I'm sure they'll catch up
I
at
just think in the
another
interest of making sure they're aware of what's happening, that they would be
Yeah.
notified
Yeah,
and be
they
aware
would
of
be,
that.
they were aware of the meeting,
Okay.
absolutely.
And we'll make sure they're all there for our first
If
responder
not,
orientation.
they're not there, make sure they're aware of what's coming.
Yes, yeah.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
I just have one more. What are the chances of and I'm not even quite sure, I read a little bit, but what are the chances of having a thermal runaway?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's very, very rare because we are up to all of the standards and the codes. So the UL 9540A it's Underwriters Laboratory. So it's like a third-party testing company, and they test all of our vendors' batteries and make sure that it doesn't propagate from cell to cell and then from module to module. So we only select manufacturers of batteries that are up to this code, and we will ensure that those are the only types of batteries we put in.
And would you just explain right quick for everyone what a thermal runaway is?
Yeah, so these type of thermal events are a little bit different than a normal fire. These ones don't need oxygen, so you just need fuel and heat. And so it's not like a normal fire where, if you take away the oxygen, the fire goes away. These ones can propagate from one to another. But we have our systems in place where each cell will not go from one to the other. So it will not have that thermal runaway.
Other comments? Chelsea, do you have other presenters that will be presenting today?
No, sir.
Okay. Any other questions? I'll just say what I learned from that meeting with the fire chief the other night was, number one, don't go inside the fence, and number two, don't spray water inside the fence.
You got it.
Yep, did leave there with those two items stuck in my head anyway. All right, thank y'all.
Thank you.
Mr. Gerlach, if you don't mind standing up, I'll see you there. I know you've been working with these people. Thank you for coming to Nash County today, and thank you for all you've done for Nash County with your other previous jobs, sir. Glad to have you here today. All right, Mr. Tyson, I'll turn it back over to you, sir. Well, first of all, let me make sure no one else wishes to speak under the public hearing. Seeing no one, I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing at this time.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Wilkins, second by Commissioner Ayrton. Questions on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed by a like sign? Public hearing is now closed, and Mr. Tyson, proceed, sir.
I have nothing else to add unless the board has any additional questions. I would remind you that we're not establishing a new zoning district. We're simply amending the site plan and the conditions for the previously established one. And I would ask that the revised conditions be part of any motion to approve this request.
All right, and you may have said it, but this is located in Mr. Arrington's district?
That is correct.
Okay. All right, any other questions of staff? Comments?
I'll,
Mr. Arrington?
Okay, well, this is in my district, and, as they stated before, the Redbud, they bought this same battery proposal to us, and we went through the same questions and answers that, some of the same questions were asked today that were asked then. And I think that the group has met with the fire chiefs. They came to the planning board and made their presentation. As we approved it the last time at the Redbud, and it's in my district. So I think it's safe the way they have proposed to carry this out. And my understanding that the monitoring of this will be an off-site, right? Right. So it's a computerized off-site monitoring system. And if there are no more questions or that need to be answered, I would like to make a motion that we move to Nash County, that the commissioners adopt the statement of plan, consistency, and reasonableness, and request the amended condition zoning of CZ 230302 for the addition of the battery energy storage system, and approve the Skylight Solar Facility, subject to the following revised development conditions, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Properly stated, Mr. Tyson?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll have a motion on the floor. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wilkins. Any questions on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor of that motion?
No question, but I just want to make a comment. It's new to me, and I'm just kind of reluctant, but I'll go on and support it, but reluctant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments, questions? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion on the floor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by a like sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Tyson.
Thank you.
May as well stay right there, sir. We'll move to item number 9, and thank all of y'all for being here today.
Yes, sir.
Item number 9 is another public hearing on conditional rezoning. It's request CZ 241002, and it is a Dollar General retail store. And at this time, I'll call on our planning director, Mr. Tyson, to make this request, to present this request. Sorry.
This time, the subject property is a 1.95 acre lot. It's highlighted in red here. It's currently a part of this larger tract of land that's owned by William E. Glover. As you can see, it's at the southwest corner of Stony Hill Church Road and West Torrance Church Road. This is just northwest of the Glover Milling Company at 3038 West Torrance Church Road. And it is in the R40 single-family residential zoning district, as evidenced by this green color on the zoning map on the right-hand side of the screen. This request has been submitted to rezone this property to GCCZ, General Commercial Conditional Zone, specifically for the development of a general merchandise store that will be owned and operated by the Dollar General Corporation. This is a conditional rezoning, so it allows for the attachment of reasonable site-specific development conditions with the consent of the applicant. If we turn our attention to the particular site plan here for this corner lot, this site plan has been prepared and submitted by Herring Sutton and Associates in Wilson on behalf of the developer, Vanguard Property Group. It depicts a one-story, 10,770 square foot commercial building. That commercial building will have driveway access here from West Torrance Church Road. The site plan also shows parking spaces, a dumpster enclosure on the backside of the building right here, and an area designated for a stormwater pond in the southwest quadrant. You also have a proposed septic system right here, and this building will be connected to the Nash County Public Water System for water supply. The standard county parking requirements would call for a total of 54 parking spaces based on the square footage of this proposed store. What you'll note is that the site plan only includes 37 paved parking spaces, and then there is an area designated here for 13 additional spaces if they were needed in the future, if this building were to change hands or change uses. Those numbers add up to just below the 54 standard. However, as a condition of this rezoning, the developer has asked for this reduction in the minimum parking requirements based on their previous experience that similar Dollar General retail stores rarely require more than 30 parking spaces at any given time in order to accommodate the typical number of customers and employees. Additionally, the requested reduction in the number of paved parking spaces would reduce the amount of impervious area on the site, and therefore it would lessen the overall environmental impact of the development. The paved parking spaces would be here in the parking lot in front of the building toward the driveway, and then these that are immediately adjacent to the building. The additional 13 would not be paved initially, but would be included in the stormwater approval for the impervious surface so that they could be paved now or at a future time in case they were needed in the event that this building were to change uses to something that has a more substantial parking demand than a Dollar General. Planted vegetative screening through trees and shrubs will be provided and maintained not only along the parking lot, but also along all four sides of the site in accordance with our ordinance's roadside buffer yard and adjoining incompatible land use screening requirements. One thing that makes this particular site a little more complicated is the fact that it's located in the WS3BW Watershed Protection Overlay District. That is a particularly sensitive area in southern Nash County that has additional stormwater and watershed protection rules imposed on it by the state that the county is mandated to enforce. Because it's in this district, the amount of area that can be developed would typically be limited to a maximum of only 24% of the total lot area. When you look at the area of this proposed 1.95 acre lot that would be covered by the building and the parking area, it obviously exceeds that. The proposed total built upon area would be 41% initially without the additional parking spaces, and 51% in the event that those additional parking spaces were paved. And so, of course, both those numbers exceed the standard 24% allowance. The way that a developer is allowed to exceed that amount is through what the state calls the use of the 1070 watershed development option. This allows the Board of Commissioners on a case-by-case basis to increase the maximum allowable built-upon area to up to 70% of a total lot area when there are engineered stormwater controls, such as this pond here, being used on the site. The catch is that the Board of Commissioners can only exercise this option on 10% of the total land area that's within that watershed district. So it is a limited resource that the board has to utilize in non-residential development projects within this district. The board has used this option on two previous occasions, once back in September of 2019 for another Dollar General retail store that fell into this same watershed overlay district. That is the one currently located at Flood's Chapel at 6245 South NC Highway 581. The board used the 1070 option again in May of 2021 for a gravel parking lot addition that was proposed beside the former W.S. Strickland's Body Shop at 9077 South NC Highway 581. That particular project was when a different tenant was looking to go in that site. That did not pan out. That parking lot, to my knowledge, has not been constructed, and so we may get that area back once we can verify that that project has expired. But assuming that both the two previous projects do go forward, one which is the existing Dollar General and one in the not yet existing parking addition, that would mean that we've used up a total of 1.71% of the land area that has been allotted for the county to approve these higher density, more impervious coverage projects. Approval of this option for this site would increase the total amount of area used to 2.72%, which would still leave 97.28%, or the vast majority of the total eligible area that's available to the board, still available to apply to future non-residential development projects in this watershed district. In the past, the county has used a points-based selection criteria when choosing which projects should be eligible for this option. And so in your packet and on the screen is a scorecard, if you will, for this particular project. Projects are scored on several factors, including whether they conform with the county's comprehensive land use plan, what level of contribution they will potentially make to the tax base, the number of new full-time jobs that will be created, the quality of the benefits that will be offered by the company to those new full-time jobs, whether they will reuse existing buildings, and whether they can make use of the availability of public utilities. In the past, a project score of at least 40 points out of 75 possible points is recommended in order to qualify a project for consideration. If you'll look down here, the actual score for this project as evaluated by the staff is 55 points, which exceeds the 40-point minimum threshold, and therefore this project is recommended for consideration by the board for approval of the 1070 watershed development option. The comprehensive land use plan defines this area as a designated residential agricultural area. That's why you see the green shaded area here. The request would be consistent with some recommendations of the plan and inconsistent with at least one. It is consistent because the subject property has frontage along and direct access to 2 state-maintained secondary roads. The subject property is located in relatively close proximity to another well-established commercial land use, which would be the mill operation, Glover Milling Company at 3038 West Orange Church Road. Even though that is not a designated commercial area for development, that is an existing use. The subject property has significant spatial separation from most of the surrounding existing residences. The closest existing residence is a manufactured home site across the road from here, but that site actually happens to be owned by the rezoning applicant, Mr. William E. Glover. The commercial development of the subject property will be limited to a context-appropriate scale by the conditional nature of the proposed rezoning request. The one recommendation that the request is inconsistent with is that new commercial land uses should be located within a quarter mile of a major intersection because, and it is inconsistent with that because, as you can see here, this intersection to the southeast was designated as a rural commercial area where commercial development is to be encouraged. However, instead of being a quarter mile from that, the subject site is a half mile from that. What the planning board noted is that based on traffic, this has been identified as a node for commercial development. However, the properties around this intersection are already residentially developed. So if we want commercial development in this area, we may have to exceed the 1/4 acre recommendation in order to meet the needs of this rural population. The request may be considered reasonable in the public interest and not spot zoning because the proposed store is intended to serve and support a local customer base, which has grown significantly in this area since 2020. As you can see on the zoning map, this is the beginning here of the Williams Grove subdivision. To the west and northwest of this site, there has been explosive residential growth since 2020. We have at least 372 new residential lots, each with their own family inhabiting existing houses in the Coolwater, Whitley Crossing, Williams Grove, Williams Ridge, and Williams Run subdivisions. We have a handful of remaining lots in the Williams Grove subdivision to be developed and recorded. And we also have a significant number of remaining subdivision lots to be developed in the Williams Run subdivision. So in the last 4 years, we have 372 new families in proximity to this site. We have more on the way, and we have relatively little in terms of commercial shopping in this area for essentials during the day. This subject property, I should also note on the zoning map, is located in close proximity to a 9-acre RC rural commercial zoning district. This was established back in December 2020 for the proposed development of a self-storage facility that has not been developed yet. But if, in the event that it is, or if this property is developed for another rural commercial use, that would be another commercial land use in proximity to this intersection and to this particular property. The Technical Review Committee considered this request back on October 3 and recommended approval, subject to development conditions. The Planning Board considered it on October 21st. Mr. Richard Herring with Herring, Sutton and Associates out of Wilson addressed the board at that time on behalf of the applicant and in support of the request. Mr. Herring is with us again this morning for the public hearing. There were no other members of the public that addressed the board at that meeting with regard to the request. With a split vote of 6-1, the Planning Board recommended approval of the request, subject to the recommended development conditions. You have a motion here to approve and a motion to deny. Both come with statements of plan consistency and reasonableness. Under the motion to approve, you have a list of 8 development conditions. They are very similar to the development conditions that we have used on previous Dollar General development sites. I would call your attention to condition number 2, which specifies that if you approve this rezoning, the board is also approving the development using the 1070 watershed development option to allow for a maximum built-upon area of up to 70% on the total lot with the use of the proposed engineered stormwater control pond. And condition number 4 is specifically to allow the lesser number of paved parking spaces than the standard calculated total based on the experience of Dollar General and the interest of reducing the overall environmental impact of the development. As I mentioned, Mr. Herring is here on behalf of the applicant for the public hearing, which is to follow. And at this point, I will pause and take any questions that the board has about the Dollar General rezoning site.
Any question from a board member of Mr. Tyson at this time? Commissioner Leggett?
Thank you. I'd just like to express my appreciation for your in-depth explanation. That was a lot as far as the watershed requirements and some of the special things about this. So I just wanted to say thank you. I think a lot of my questions were answered.
Thank you, Commissioner. Other comments or questions?
Just one.
Yes, sir.
When they are developing, we're talking about the paving, is a requirement that all, I know we have a certain amount of parking spaces that need to be, is the requirement that they all be paved?
Typically, the requirement is that they would all be paved. The building code, regardless of Nash County zoning, is going to require that handicap parking spaces be paved. But yes, typically for a commercial development like this, we do have a pavement requirement. And just to be clear, the applicant is planning to pave all of this parking in this L-shaped area here. And then these would be the additional ones that could be constructed later if there's a demonstrated need, either for the Dollar General or if the Dollar General years down the road were to turn into another land use, we would already have these already approved on the site plan so they could move forward. But typically the requirement is for them to be paved, and Dollar General plans to pave what they provide.
And just one other comment, that I think our last meeting, we were talking about the commercial zone, and, we keep kind of moving that out.
Right.
So I guess, let's see, you said that one's,
I think what you're referring to is we often encounter situations where maybe we have a intersection like this one that has been identified for rural commercial use, but the site that we have might fall beyond that quarter-mile distance.
Yeah.
In this particular case, what the TRC felt, initially this was recommended or submitted as a general rezoning, meaning that we would not be able to know exactly how or what it would be developed for. If it was within that quarter mile, I think that the TRC would have recommended approval of that because we've already designated this intersection for commercial development. The fact that it fell further beyond that led the TRC to recommend denial of that general rezoning and to request that the developer come back with a conditional. Because it was a little further from that intersection, we felt that the county needed more details and the ability to hold the developer accountable for a specific plan. So I guess what I would say is I'm not so much worried about this development area falling more than the quarter mile from this area, but the fact that it does leads us to put more parameters on it and to make sure that if we're doing it further from that intersection, we're doing it in a way that we have confidence as to how it's going to be developed and what it's going to be developed for. So I'm not so much frightened by the fact that it's a half mile instead of a quarter mile, but that extra distance was enough for the technical review committee and then the planning board to recommend that this be a conditional rezoning with more restrictions on it than a general rezoning would have.
Plus, I think during our plan use development that we didn't set that distance in stone, but we more or less set it where if cases that we see it reasonable to expand and go beyond.
Absolutely correct.
All right.
Other questions, Mr. Tyson?
Just a comment, that intersection, that crossroads will never be developed commercially because there's houses in all four corners.
Yep.
It's already got residential houses there, so that
Right.
it won't be developed commercially. So it's not a good place for commercial, so you got to move down the road.
Adam, I also think you had a lot of discussion on that same point at your planning board meeting, and maybe even to the point you may look at that quarter mile to possibly extend it, but that's a planning board matter, and we'll just board wait to hear from what the planning board recommends on that item.
I will say that it was a 6-1 vote, and the one vote opposed was not necessarily opposed to the Dollar General, but was specifically uncomfortable with the half-mile distance. And so that was the main topic of discussion at the planning board.
Correct, right. All right, thank you, Mr. Tyson. I believe this is in Commissioner Leggett's district, so at this time I'd entertain a motion to go into public hearing on this matter.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Leggett, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Combs. Questions on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed by a like sign? Motion carries, and ladies and gentlemen, we are now in a public hearing to hear from anyone in the audience that wishes to speak for or against this conditional use rezoning. And so if you would come forward at this time and state your name and address for the record, the board would be great to hear from you. Seeing no movement, I'd ask the applicant or engineer if he would have anything he wished to add. Good morning, Mr. Terry.
Good morning. I'm Richard Herring, Herring Sutton and Associates. We're here representing Vanguard Properties, and Vanguard has been doing Dollar Generals for 3 decades, but in particular, about 20 a year for the last 5 years. So they know, they know what that is, and obviously all of y'all know what a Dollar General is. I don't need to explain that. And after Adam's presentation, I'm kind of left with nothing else to say. He does an excellent, thorough explanation. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
All right, any questions from, for the engineer on record for this item? As you said, Mr. Tyson did a great job evidently.
I've been doing this 44 years. He's about the best. He's about as thorough as anybody I know.
We hear it many times. Thank you, sir. Good to see you this morning. Anyone else wish to speak? If not, entertain a motion to close the public hearing at this time.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Leggett. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Combs. Questions on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by a like sign? The public hearing is now closed. Mr. Tyson, anything else for the board?
No, sir.
All right, any questions for staff? If not, pleasure of the board.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Leggett.
Okay, I move that the Nash County Board of Commissioners adopt the statement of plan consistency and reasonableness listed in our agenda to approve the conditional rezoning request CZ 241002 to rezone the property to GC CZ for the development of a general merchandise retail store with the development conditions listed in our agenda packet.
All right, properly stated.
Absolutely.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Combs. Questions on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed by a like sign? Motion is granted and property is rezoned.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'm going to take care of one more item and then take about a 10-minute break at the request of a commissioner. We have our president for our community college has been with us quite a while this morning. I've heard him say many times before, he is still learning in life and likes to learn. I hope you've learned a few things this morning, sir, but welcome to the Board of Commissioners meeting, and we'll be tickled to hear from you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I have. This has been very enlightening this morning. To start, I'd like to address Commissioner Cohn and just say, while I'm not happy this will be the last time I see you in that chair, I'm very happy that I was here to see you in the chair for the last time. So thank you for your support of the county and the college. It's very much appreciated.
Thank you, sir.
So I am Lou Honeycutt, and I'm very pleased to be here in front of you today to offer you greetings from Nash Community College, now in its 57th year of serving Nash County and the surrounding area. While maybe more startling to you, it is to me, Friday of last week started my 6th year as president of Nash Community College, and the first 5 have went really, really quickly. So normally when I meet with you, it's to talk about budgets, for me to ask for money for the next year. I'm not here to do that today. I'm not going to ask you for any money. What I'm going to do is ask you for some support. We continue to appreciate the partnership we share with the county, and I think once I lay this out for you, you'll see why the support is necessary. I've given you 2 handouts. One is strictly an informational handout, has all the colors on it. It just shows you if people say to you, what do they do out there? That gives you a really good indicator of it. The one new addition to it since I've seen you last is we started determining how many counties do we actually serve. By statute, we serve 1, Nash County. But in the last full year, 23-24, we served 51 of the 100 North Carolina counties. So we're very proud of that. We do that through our online programs, and we're very happy about that. The second document I gave you talks about a health sciences building for Nash Community College. So this idea came about. It is our only capital advancement idea that we're going to put forward to the General Assembly, to the federal level, and to private donors in the next year. The health sciences building on campus would represent a 35,000 square foot, approximately $22 million construction. How will we pay for that? Well, again, I'm not here to ask for money. It is the only capital ask for the General Assembly. It will be the only capital pitch to federal level people. And also we'll do private fundraising. So who will be housed in this facility? Well, it's a health sciences building, so obviously health sciences. And for our 3 main programs, that encompasses our nursing program, our medical assisting program, and our physical therapy assistant program. A lot of other auxiliary components like CNA will be in there as well. Why do we need it? There's really 2 reasons why we focused in on 1 building for this next capital push. We are in an aging facility. Now, I'm going to tell you, we have a beautiful campus, and we have incredible facilities, but they're all aging. And around us, colleges, online and brick and mortar, are gaining new health science buildings and facilities. Students today, I will preface this by saying our quality of instruction, I'll put up against anyone's in the nation. Our pass rate on national tests is higher than it's ever been, so our quality is there. What's not there that students are looking for today are bells and whistles, which shouldn't matter in the grand scheme of things, but it does. So many of the new facilities being built today, you walk into them and it appears like you're on a hospital ward. So you're training where you're going to be, you're training in the same location or outfit that you're going to be working in. Our building currently, the structures are the older 1970s cinder block buildings that are very elongated, rectangular, and nothing but cinder block rooms. We have as many bells and whistles as we can put in them, but it's just not the showy nature of that. So that's one reason that we need this facility. The pool of qualified applicants for health science positions or health science seats for our programs is shrinking across the nation. They are very difficult to get into for a very good reason. If you pass a nursing program, we want somebody that's really been dedicated to do that. Because of that, less and less students at a time when we need more and more and more health professionals are choosing to do something else. We want to continue to be able to attract a pool of qualified applicants so we can continue our program to continue to grow. So that's one thing. The second reason we actually need the building involves Nash County Public Schools. So about 5 years ago when I got here, I really made the mental picture, the mental imprint that I wanted City High, our skills high school, on campus. The early college, our university transfer college, early college. Remember, early college high school and city high school or innovative high schools owned by Nash County Public Schools. Superintendent Ellis and I just agree to disagree if they're really mine, because they're on, at least now they're both on my campus. But the early college has been there since the onset. All the university transfer students, but yet we didn't put the skills high school, arguably as important in an industrial county like Nash, we didn't put it on our campus. Because of that, we were only able to take 6 of our skills down to the old high school facility where it's been. So about 8 months ago, Dr. Ellis and I, we meet every month, and we were meeting, and he said, look, we need to speed your plan up. He said, with demerger, I'm losing school buildings. I've got a part of City High, the old high school at City High is accommodating less than 100 students. I've got another school of over 300 I need to put there. Can we advance the timeline? I said, absolutely. So I go back to my people and said, we need to find space on campus for at least 100 students. This is at a time when the college is finally growing again post-COVID. Currently, we're around 8% higher this year than we were last year. So when I went to my team, I know in their minds they were thinking, he has truly lost his mind. 3 days later, they came back with a plan and said, here's the classrooms we can allot to City High. We've done that. We started in the fall this semester with both innovative high schools on campus, City High being the new one. Because we didn't have all the space, the school system brought in a modular structure. There's nothing wrong with modulars. It's serving its purpose, but it is not a permanent solution for the college or for City High. So we're crowded, rooms at a premium. That's a great problem to have. But this health sciences building also helps us find a permanent location for City High. We cannot grow City High any larger than it is currently. Yet we've put it on campus where in the near future, every skill we have open on campus will be open to them. So if 2 want to do culinary, 2 want to do advanced manufacturing, 2 want to do robotics, we send them to those classes. We're in a conundrum now. We've got them on campus like I wanted, but we cannot grow any larger than about 100 students. Any innovative high school can have 500 students. The early college runs about 430. City High is less than 100. We can't grow towards that 500 in the current facilities that we have. By building the health sciences building, we then move nursing, med assist, physical therapy into it. The old Parkview Hall, the nursing wing of Building D, then becomes City High. Permanent position for City High, permanent location for City High. At that time period, we can grow it to the full 500. It is my kind of tongue-in-cheek promise to the General Assembly, if we get this done, in 3 years, the enrollment at City High will more than likely surpass the early college. And the reason I say that, there are high-paying jobs waiting. Keep in mind, these students at City High will finish high school with a college degree and certifications in multiple skills. There are many jobs in this county. We're in a great industrial county. where these students can leave graduation the next day, go to work with a wage that's going to support their family. We can't do that if we can't get the student body on campus, can't train them in the areas we have. So again, the health sciences building, is it something the college wants? Absolutely. It gives us the bells and whistles we need. Does it help Nash County Public Schools? Absolutely. It gives us the permanent place, location for City High. Then again, both innovative high schools are on campus. It's a win for the county, it's a win for the school system, certainly it's a win for the college. So what I'm asking for today is not any money, but I'm asking for a letter of support. Timeline's a little short, by November 11th. The reason I'm asking for it by November 11th, I'm meeting with all state delegates and federal representatives on the 15th at a luncheon on campus, and I want to have a portfolio together to show the support from the county, all entities in the county, to support this project. I would also like to ask not just for your written support, but for your vocal support when asked about this program, this project. Again, it's a big win for all of us and will help us ensure not only City High, but our health sciences programs well into the future. So with that said, I would be happy to answer any questions that you have, and thank you for allowing me to speak to you today.
Board members have questions of Dr. Honeycutt at this time?
I don't have any questions, but I'd just like to say thank you for what you're doing to seek this funding. I know that you're talking to many different groups.
Yes, sir.
You have a vision for the community college that would certainly help ensure City High reaches its potential, and I appreciate the fact that what you're doing at Nash Community College, and I would support
Thank you,
this
sir.
resolution or letter.
Thank you so much.
Dr. Honeycutt, I certainly support the City High being located there. As you know, my profession is in dire need of many trades, and our average age is now, I understand, a little above 59-year-olds on our job sites for certain electricians, plumbers, heat and air technicians. So we've got to start somewhere. The bells and whistles, I heard you loud and clear. I guess it helped explain the math that I did sitting here of $628 per square foot for your building. I would ask you to continue looking at that. In my world, bells and whistles are reserved for bank institutions and things of that nature, but $628 a square foot is an awful expensive building, so continue monitoring that. And I can't help but think this is, you said 6 times that you're not asking for money, but I feel like it's phase 1 of an ask for money at some later date, so.
Absolutely. The support money that would come for the building, I will come back to you with in the future. Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, just to make that clear, you might want to say it 5 times the next time you make the presentation rather than 6, because I do feel like you will need to come back, and the board will certainly be glad to hear from you, whatever members we have at that particular time. I too would like to thank you for what you're doing out at community college. I'm an absolute firm believer in community colleges, and we do have a great one here and have a great-looking campus that has continued to grow under your tenure, and it's just enlightening to me when you come into our county from the west, getting near Rocky Mount, your first interchange, you have Nash Community College with a great-looking campus, and then leads into the need for this health science building at the next interchange. You have a great-looking county-owned hospital that also has a great-looking campus and will be looking even greater moving forward.
Absolutely.
So thank you for being here today. Ms. Sipser, can you explain, or staff going to furnish us this letter? Do we have a template, or where are we at with that?
We don't, but I've made myself a note. That's our, on our to-do list. We will put a letter of support together for you all to sign.
Well, the timing that he has asked us for, we need, what action do you need from the board today? Because we will not be meeting again before then, if any.
If you just want to entertain a motion that you will provide a letter of support.
Okay.
And then we will make that happen.
Okay, all right, fine. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Let me, I want to
Sure,
come in Honey, good. I really want to show my appreciation for what you do for Nash Community College and how the community college try to serve our industry, the industry that I work at. You do a fine job of trying to train the technicians that come through, and we are very proud of what we receive. I think you do a good job of trying to be involved in the community. You know, I see you at different places. And I think you have our students and our citizens in mind as you propose to do certain things to help our community college grow for the future and prepare our students for the future. So I know it's hard work, but keep up the hard work. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
All right.
All right, we thank you for being here.
Thank you all. I appreciate it.
Any other questions from board members?
No, I'll just say that there's not a project out there at community college since I've been on this board that I didn't support. It has grown tremendously in the past 26 years.
Okay, well, I'll entertain a motion to provide a letter of support to the community college as requested and direct the staff, or ask the staff, we don't direct staff, ask the staff to make that preparation, that letter for us.
So moved.
I have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Wilkins, and a second by Commissioner Belfield. And of course, I would ask that the letter be circulated very quickly through email back to the commissioners for any comments they may have. But with that said,
Just before, Mr. Chairman, one quick comment.
Sure.
I'll assume that letter would be signed by the chairman and the county manager and on behalf of the full board?
Yes, sir.
Rather than trying to reach out and get us, is that something that the board would be agreeable to?
generally the way we would handle
Okay.
something like that.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. All right, we have a motion on the floor and a second. All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed by a like sign? Motion carries.
Thank you all.
And everybody keep in mind, it wasn't an ask for funding. Okay, at this time, I'm going to recess the board for about 10 minutes at the request of another commissioner, and we will, sorry, Ms. Hall, we will be back with you very quickly, ma'am, but we will recess for 10 minutes. Thank you. All right, I call us back to order at this time. We are now on item number 11, which is recognition of Sandy Hall's service to Nash County and her promotion and reward for a job well done here. I'll call on Stacy Satz for our county manager.
Thank you. Sandy, will you please join me? Thank you for this opportunity to recognize Sandy Hall and her service to Nash County. Sandy Hall began her career with Nash County Cooperative Extension Service on June 15, 1998, when she was hired as the 4-H Youth Development Extension Agent. During her time as 4-H agent, she acquired her master's in family life and youth development at NC State University, her North Carolina Cooperative Extension title promotion, and was recognized with the Distinguished Service Award from North Carolina and National 4-H Agents Association. In July of 2016, Sandy was promoted to the Nash County Cooperative Extension Director position, and on October the 1st, 2024, Sandy was promoted to become the Director of the North Carolina Cooperative Extension's Northeast District, where she will provide leadership to more than 160 Extension employees in a region that includes 22 counties, ranging from Wake County to the Outer Banks. We thank Sandy for her service to Nash County and congratulate her on her promotion, and look forward to continuing to work with her in this new leadership capacity. And I will turn it over to the board for their comments.
Any board member have comments they'd like to say? Commissioner
Well,
Lake?
I'll start it off.
Go ahead, Mr.
Sandy came on and replaced me when I retired, and I have observed her through the years, how she progressed and moved, moved forward and directed the youth program, and then became the director of Cooperative Extension Service, and I'm familiar with the total organization from NC State, A&T State, both land-grant institutions, and working together support the Cooperative Extension Program in all 100 counties. And so she has a great responsibility now with 22 counties, but I'm sure she can handle it. She did well here in Nash County, and I believe that's the reason she was promoted, because she has some familiarity with the 22 counties that she will be the director of. So first, I've said it earlier today, but congratulations, and I know you'll do a great job.
Thank you, Mr. Belfield. Commissioner Leggett?
Thank you. Sandy, I'd just like to say thank you for all you've done for Nash County. 4-H touches so many families and so many youth and makes just such an impact in the future. And as a 4-H alumni and 4-H mom, you know, I fully appreciate that, and thank you for all you've done for agriculture. We appreciate that, and congratulations on your promotion. We're thrilled to have one of Nash County's own to help lead the Northeast District.
Mr. Outlaw?
I didn't realize that you would replace Mr. Belfield. I know that must have been a tough job, because he's a good man, but you've done a good job, and we all appreciate the job you've done, and certainly wish you much luck in your future endeavors.
Commissioner Cole?
Sandy, I worked with you a lot of years, 4-H sales and other things, and I knew whatever Sandy was doing, she was dedicated to it. She dedicated to her job. She was dedicated to the 4-H show and the sale that we helped support so many years, and I just learned to love her and appreciate her. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Mr. Chairman, I'll just say, well done, Sandy. You wouldn't be going where you're going if you didn't have the experience and expertise that you do. The few times I have called you and we have taught, you've been very accommodating, so, and I do appreciate that, and I wish you all the best.
Mr. Erickson?
Thank you, Sandy, for your support, and we'll miss you. We really appreciate the support you gave with the CRD Council that I serve on, and Tracy, and I know all of us miss your leadership. We appreciate you staying with us, and much success.
I think they've all spoke. Again, I certainly appreciate what you've done for Nash County and the youth, and the other job that you have over there. I can gauge how good a job you've done, because anytime you're working with the youth, generally, everybody doesn't stay happy all the time. But I can honestly say, in my 23 years on this board, I've never had the first parent complain about anything about their children and the 4-H program. And that's pretty unusual. I remember I asked my father when I wanted to become a elected official one time. I said, Dad, I want to do this. And he said, what's wrong with you? But I also said, I can't make up my mind whether I want to be on the school board or be on the county commissioners. He said, well, that's easy. Do you want to mess with a man's children, or do you want to mess with his money? You chose to mess with the children, and a job well done. I know your dad's proud of you. Had the pleasure of attending high school, playing sports with her daddy, and I played football, which he did do, but he chose baseball pretty early on, his best sport, and has spent his whole life in baseball. But I know he's certainly proud of what you've accomplished in Nash County, and it is refreshing to know that you'll still be around, still be helping us some. So thank you for your service.
Thank you.
You're welcome to say something if you like.
Well, I just want to say thank you to each one of you because in some capacity, you've been involved in Extension and 4-H and impacted our organization, and we couldn't do it without you. So I just thank you so much. Yes, I'm grateful for my parents. They raised me in Florida, though, but I came back to North Carolina, Nash County, because that's where I wanted to be, and I've been thrilled to be a part of the Extension team here, and I look forward to supporting them and continuing to work with all of you. But again, thank you for each one of you and what you've meant to our program. Thank you for the management team. It's been a delight to work with Stacy and her team. I've enjoyed the time under her leadership, and appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bring him up here.
You have anybody to recognize with her? You have any family with her?
I don't see.
All right.
I looked for that. I don't see it. All right, we'll move now to item number 12, which is Nash County Agriculture Advisory Board update. And I call on Regina Mosley and Robert Covington to make this presentation for us. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Regina Mosley. I'm the Area Family and Consumer Science Agent with Cooperative Extension, and just recently been placed as the Interim County Extension Director with Nash County. Just a little background about me. I have been with Extension for 16 years. I've served in the areas of 4-H youth development and family and consumer science. My background for schooling is agriculture education, and my master's is family and youth life sciences. And this morning, it's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Robert Covington, who is our chair of our Ag Advisory Board, and he's going to be speaking with you this morning about some homeland preservation, farmland preservation.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, and good morning again.
Good morning.
Morning.
It's a pleasure to be here today. For many of us, November is the month of Thanksgiving, and today we've had a lot to be thankful for, haven't we? A lot of great people have been recognized this morning. On behalf of the Ag Advisory Board, I'd like to extend that thanks and begin with thanks to this governing body. Our county commissioners have shown a lot of support for the agriculture community through the years. Relevant to today's presentation, I would say that we would go back to 2009 when this body approved the ordinance that created the Ag Advisory Board and established the framework for the voluntary and enhanced voluntary ag district programs here in the county. That's nearly 25 years. I think it actually took effect in January of 2010. So, Commissioner Cohn, you've been so involved and so helpful through all ag pursuits. Very nice to celebrate our 25th anniversary of the Ag District program here with you today, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for what you do. Robert does a good job. He works hard.
Well, I appreciate those remarks, Commissioner Cohn. Really, the two things we'd like to do today, one is to provide an update on the activities of the Ag Advisory Board, and the other is to kind of paint a picture of some of the future activities that we envision in support of the ag community. Before we get that far, though, there's some other folks that we really need to recognize and to thank. The Ag Advisory Board. It's a 10-member board, all volunteer, of course. I'm the newest member of that board, and so I have the most to learn, and I hopefully will be a good student. That board could not function, though, without the incredible support of the Cooperative Extension Service personnel, who you all designated as the primary support for their work. I'd also like to recognize the Soil and Water Office. They are very important ex officio members of that board. Their insight and guidance is very helpful. I think it would be appropriate, although I don't see Greg Bunn here today. Anytime we mention agriculture in Nash County, I think we need to recognize and appreciate the Nash County Farm Bureau for the work that they do in support of agriculture, both in terms of human resources and financial resources. That'll be a recurring theme this morning, I believe. When you think about the departments and agencies that support the agriculture community, all basically domiciled there in the agricultural center, it's apart from county administration, this facility, but there's a very strong nexus, obviously, to our county manager and to her very capable team. And I would certainly be remiss if I did not extend thanks and acknowledge your contribution to the work done by those groups. Expanding just for a second, if I may, outside of Nash County, we're very delighted today to have a couple of representatives from the North Carolina Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. We have Mr. Evan Davis, who is the director of their Farmland Preservation Division, and we have Ms. Allison Rodriguez, who is the budget administrator for that division. They have been instrumental in providing us with information related to farmland preservation initiatives, and they're great teachers, again. So thank you all for coming today. In essence, what we have, Mr. Chairman, is the brains and the money behind the Farmland Preservation Group at the state level. The primary work done by the Ag Advisory Board over these last 25 years has really been focused on the voluntary and enhanced voluntary agricultural districts. Mr. Boone, thank you for presenting that map up there. Do you all have that in your handouts as well?
They've got it on the screen in front of them.
That's close enough. Very good. Thank you. At present, we have about 192 parcels representing just under 6,700 acres of land in the Voluntary Ag District Program. Add to that another 62 parcels that represents about 2,350 acres that are enrolled in the, again, enhanced Voluntary Ag District Program. There are about 4 parcels that are in progress right now, representing about 100 acres. So if you take all that in totality, between the two programs, it's about 9,100, just over 9,100 acres in either of the two Ag District programs. For those of you who enjoy statistics, that's about 2.5% of the land mass in the county. And that's about as precise as I will be in my talking points today. I think that over the course of the years, I'm making a presumption that you're familiar with the Voluntary Ag District program, so I won't delve any deeper into that. However, we certainly welcome your questions, whether it's today or at any time, through your normal channels of Cooperative Extension, Soil and Water, the Ag District Board, or myself. Our focus going forward, our planned focus going forward, is to provide information and resources to the agriculture community through a variety of activities, such as what is often called landowner summits, to provide information related to everything from the resources available through some of the aforementioned agencies, plus United States Department of Agriculture and Natural Resource Conservation Service. Sorry, I left you out early. There's always a danger when you start singling people out for thanks or congratulations that you're going to omit someone, as I've clearly done. Also, with a landowner summit, I think it would be important, we think it would be important to address topics related to estate planning and planning for the ultimate transfer of land from one generation to the next. We think that it would be very helpful to include in a landowner summit representatives from county government, from tax, legal, planning, I see Mr. Tyson's left, but, and others, to help landowners understand the importance of planning, the resources that are available to them. And of course, we'd want to promote the Ag District program. We'd want to be able to inform our population about other farmland preservation initiatives, such as agricultural conservation easements. You all, back in April, attended a recess meeting there at the Ag Center where Mr. Scott Shoulders and Allison presented some very helpful information related to agricultural conservation easements. It might be beneficial to also cover some other types of conservation easements related to natural resources, including wildlife, water quality, and that kind of thing. So that's part of our vision going forward. For much of the programming that we would plan for, we would really appreciate the county's verbal support, the county's support in terms of human resources and in terms of financial resources to implement this programming. We would also appreciate your consideration of human and financial support as it relates specifically to agricultural land easements or agricultural conservation easements. The state and even federal government do provide some funding specific to those initiatives, but in almost each case, there's an expectation of local funding to marry up with the state and federal funding. So we expect at some point in the future to be able to present a more specific proposal to our county commissioners, this body, for your consideration. But for now, I think the only other comment I would make is that to introduce you to the concept of earmarking funds from the rollback taxes that are collected when land falls out of the present use value program. Earmarking those funds, that's an existing revenue source, so it doesn't require any additional fundraising. It also, in many people's eyes, I believe, helps to promote a philosophy where when land is lost or falls out of the present use value scheme, if that's the right word, the county is reinvesting that money in farmland preservation in other areas of the county. So there are a lot of reasons to consider that, again, as a source of funding. I think the last thing I'll mention, I said I wouldn't offer too many statistics, but I am going to give you some numbers. 1.1 million acres, 91,000 farms, $1.25 billion with a B dollars, and just under 20,000. Those numbers are taken from a 2020 report by the American Farmland Trust. Based on their research and including a nationwide survey, if you focus just on North Carolina, 1.1 million is the number of acres that they project will be of farmland, working land, that will be lost by 2040. 9,100 is the number of farms they project will be lost to development by 2040. 1.25 billion represents the dollars that farm production output will be reduced by 2040. And almost 20,000 represents the number of jobs that will be lost through the loss of active, productive operations. I think I'll close as I began with a word of thanks. Thank you for your support in the past. Thank you for your time and attention today. And we look forward to thanking you again in the future for your ongoing support.
Thank you, sir. Any questions of Mr. Covington at this time? Appreciate the presentation, sir.
Thank you again.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion at this time, please, sir.
Is it a motion that's on the agenda?
It's a motion about this item that was just presented to us.
Can you tell me what the motion might be? Because this was.
The
a
motion might be
information-
that Nash County promote and support the farmland preservation program, and that Nash County use recoup deferred taxes to administer the program. I'll make that in form of a motion.
I'm going to ask the attorney, I have an information, I have an item here that is for information only. Leave me, I was hoping we'd get more information about that, dollar amounts and things of that nature before we move forward with it.
I think we had that at the meeting we attended.
I don't recall what that was, Commissioner Combs, but I'm going to ask the attorney to leave me. Can I take action on an item that's not an action item on the agenda?
I think he has the right to make the motion.
Okay. All right, so move forward with a vote.
I think if the motion's, you can move forward on the motion.
Okay. I have a motion on the floor. Does everybody understand the motion? And I do have hesitancy about it because I don't have enough information at hand to vote on the motion, simply because I don't remember what we got back there, and I'd like to see dollar amounts and things of that nature, where the money would come from.
We
where it's going
we
to
sent dollar amounts a couple of months ago.
Right, I just don't remember.
Well, but that's your fault.
I understand. I'll take that in stride. But I personally like to be informed on something when they're going to take a vote on it. I have a motion on the floor. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
I'll second.
Mr. Chairman, could he repeat the motion one more time?
I have a motion and a second. I'll ask the motion maker to repeat the motion.
I made the motion that Nash County promote and support the farmland preservation program, and that Nash County use recouped deferred taxes to administer the program. And we all know when you take a tract of land out of farm use value, you have to, for 3 years, you have to pay back that money up to the fair market value, that tax money. So I'm making the motion that we use that recoup tax money to help administer this program.
I have a motion on the floor. The person that seconded it, Commissioner Leggett, is that explanation satisfy your second?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Any questions on the motion or comments?
I think Mr. Covington, in his closing statement, said they would provide more specific information. And I think that's what we need. I came here today prepared to listen for my information. I'm not prepared to support this today.
Understood. Comment, Mr. Belfield?
No, only thing I would say is that if we expect to have good food supply, which is done by agriculture or even big cooperative companies, you got to have land to do it with. And I certainly would support it. This has come to us before. I know some maybe 8 or 10 years ago. And we didn't support it then because some of the big key farmers said, I want to do what I want to with my land. When I retire or get too old to farm, and sell it to the highest bidder. But it's something to think about, that where our food supply going to come from, and the population is increasing tremendously every year, but you got to have a food supply. Are we going to import it from South America, or Mexico, or wherever, Central America? Are we going to try to grow our food supply? Yeah, I know some things grow better in tropical areas, especially fruit. But we do need land to provide a food supply. Agriculture is the thing to do it with.
All right, thank you. Other comments or questions? Commissioner Leggett?
I'd just like to make a comment. I know that during the presentation, they were asking for our general support today, specifically for the county's support with human resources and hopefully financial resources in the future. And I really appreciate them bringing that to us. You know, you think back over the past, years, we've approved so many neighborhoods and so much development, but we have not committed to supporting the agriculture industry and what puts foods on the table for those households. So I think supporting a program like this, I understand if more specific information is needed, and if that's the pleasure of the board to get more specific information, I would like to be presented with that at some time specific board meeting, so that we can, this is not pushed off indefinitely. If the board does not vote in favor of go ahead and set aside those tax dollars for this purpose now, that we need to take a look at it at some specific time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Other comments? Commissioner Aaron?
Excuse me. Thanks for the presentation. I, and just like as commissioners, are concerned about our agricultural community and land loss. But at the same time, does this motion includes a financial commitment to buying back land that we lose through development? And that requires our county manager being involved, and of all being involved in how that actually will look like, what that will actually look like, and the dollars that we would be placing into this program, and percentages and that type of thing.
The money to purchase the farmland easement comes from state and federal dollars. The only thing the county be responsible for was some amount of money to help administer the program.
Yeah, well, I guess that's part of the presentation, that if, I guess I'm not at the point of committing to the total funding, because we don't know how that really looks like.
All right, any other Commissioner?
I just want to make it very clear that I'm in support of the agricultural community. But what I'm not in support of is sitting up here today, listening to an informational presentation and not fully understanding the implications of what might be needed to support this project. So I don't know. I don't know what it might require in governmental support, funding, land. I have no clue. And I can't vote for something what I don't understand what I'm voting for. And if you do, then vote for it. That would be your pleasure. But I can't support this until I see specifics from this group, exactly what this means in terms of cost and available resources from the county, and I have not seen that.
The biggest thing was that recoup back taxes, and we had in 2021, that was the biggest annual recoupment we've ever had, was $317,000. In '22, it was $156,000, and in '23, it was $222,000, and that's.
Well, I'm glad you have all that
That's money
information.
that's not budgeted from anywhere, you know.
I'm glad you have all that information. I don't. I don't understand it, and I cannot support what I don't understand.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Outlaw, you finished?
Yes.
I'm going to have to agree with Commissioner Outlaw, and on our information, the recommendation is consideration of the request. And so I would ask that we, do consider the request, but after we receive more information from county staff.
Thank you. I'm going to state my position also. I do feel this is an item that I probably could support because I'm certainly interested in agriculture also, and I know what Nash County's agriculture input is, but I can't support having an item that's an informational item with limited information at this time brought before us without a recommendation from staff or how it affects the county. That's just not the way I feel like we should be doing business. We need full information, and this board has always asked for it, and staff has always provided for it. So I personally think the motion is untimely, and I don't know how to turn out, and certainly I don't know how we will move forward with it if it should pass, because we just don't have the information necessary. But everybody's had a chance to speak, and I have a motion on the floor, and I have a properly seconded. I personally think it is out of order, but the attorney has stated it is in order, and I'm going to always listen to the attorney. So all in favor of the motion as stated, please raise your hand. All that's not in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. The motion fails on a 4-3 vote. I encourage the process to continue. For those that did support it, keep working on it, get the information back to us, and we'd certainly address it at the proper time, at a later date. I won't say it's not proper to do it today, but at a later date, we would certainly be willing to address that. All right.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
Supporting this program doesn't call for funding from Nash County.
The motion included a funding item from Nash County. Is I understood the motion correctly, and I think I did.
Well, I didn't understand that.
Okay. The motion included providing.
Supporting preservation of farmland, not funding.
Ms. Belford, that was not the motion. That's why I voted against it. And I think some of the other board members.
Okay, let's move on.
Okay, I'm ready. All right, the next item on the agenda, and thank the presenters today for being here, and we will look forward to hearing back from you as we progress through this. Next item on the agenda is item number 13, and it is a Nash County resolution to participate in Operation Greenlight in support of the veterans. Mr. Rogers, great to have you here this morning. Good to see you.
Thank you. It's good to be here, Mr. Chairman. First off, I want to say good morning to everyone, and good morning, Chairman. Good morning to all our Board of Commissioners. It's a pleasure to be here on behalf of our veterans, also on behalf of Nash County Veteran Services. Today, I'm presenting a resolution for Operation Greenlight for our veterans, and I'll read as follows. Whereas the residents of Nash County have great respect, admiration, and the utmost gratitude for all men and women who have selflessly served our country and this community in the armed forces. And whereas the contributions and sacrifices of those who served in the armed forces have been vital in maintaining the freedoms and way of life enjoyed by our citizens. And whereas Nash County seeks to honor individuals who have made countless sacrifices for freedom by placing themselves in harm's way for the good of all. And whereas veterans continue to serve our community in the American Legion, veteran foreign wars, religious groups, civil service, and by functioning as county veteran service officers in 29 states to help fellow former veterans and service members access more than $52 billion in federal health, disability, and compensation benefits each year. And whereas approximately 200,000 service members transition to civilian communities annually, and whereas an estimated 20% increase of service members will transition to civilian life in the near future, and whereas studies indicate that 44 to 72% of service members experience high levels of stress during transition from military to civilian life, and whereas active military service members transitioning from military service are high risk for suicide during the first year after the military service, and whereas the National Association of Counties encourages all counties, parishes, and boroughs to recognize Operation Greenlight for our veterans, and whereas the Nash County appreciates the sacrifices of our United States military personnel and believes specific recognition should be granted, therefore be it resolved with the designation as a green light for Veterans County. Nash County declares from October through Veterans Day, November 11, 2024, a time to salute and honor the service and sacrifices of our men and women in uniform transitioning from active service. Therefore, be it further resolved that in observance of Operation Greenlight, Nash County encourages its citizens in patriotic tradition to recognize the importance of honoring all those who made immersible sacrifices to preserve freedom by displaying green lights in a window of their place of business or residence from November 4th through November 11th, 2024. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Do you happen to know how many veterans we have in Nash County by chance?
Yes, sir. We have about 5,700 veterans in Nash County.
5,700, thank you. I don't know if I've ever heard that figure. Any comments any commissioner wishes to make about this item?
I would just say, as a proud military veteran, I would be very much in support of this resolution.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to thank Mr. Rogers for his leadership, and I know this is a statewide thing, the green light, but I want to take this opportunity. I've heard from veterans in Nash County and relatives of veterans who are no longer with us, and they speak very highly of our Office of Veterans Affairs, so appreciate your support and help there.
Thank you.
Anyone else have a comment before I call for a motion to approve the resolution?
I'd like to state those same.
I'm a veteran and I support it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Harris?
I want to state the same thing, Mr. Rogers. I heard from some of the veterans, they say they have came to your office and, with a whole lot of questions, not being able to get certain benefits and things, and they left with good directions, and they appreciate what you are doing.
Thank you.
All right.
I would just say, when I became a commissioner, which was a long time ago, our Veterans Office was actually located in another county, or shared with another county, and boy, have we come a long way from there. Even stepped it up again when you came on board, and I hear so many positive comments as well about your office, and I have a lot of friends. I was in the area of the Vietnam War, and a lot of my high school mates went in the Vietnam War, and a lot of them have visited your office, and they're all very quick to point out how good a job y'all do for them, made them aware of things they just would have never had an idea of. One particular person that I see quite frequently, he talks about it every time I run into him, and once he told me what he found out he had available to him versus what he knew I had available to him, I can understand why he's so happy. So thank you for your service and what you do there, and the other people that work in your office. But it's just delighted to see it improve from where it was to where it is now, and located within the confines of Nash County and actually in our administration building. So appreciate it, sir.
Thank you.
With that said, I'd entertain a motion to adopt the resolution as Mr. Rogers read.
Move approval.
That's another motion that I think we probably all brought forth at the same time, and if, with a motion on the floor, I call for a second.
Second.
Have several seconds as well. I'm going to let the clerk decipher that out. But any questions on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed by a like sign. Resolution is hereby adopted, sir. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you for your service.
All right, we'll move to item number 14, which is monthly tax report, and I'll call on our tax assessor at this time, which is already at the podium. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners, Mr. Chairman. I'm honored to present this report. This is the monthly tax report in keeping with North Carolina General Statute 105-3507. The tax collector will be providing a monthly report showing the amount of taxes collected and the efforts being made to collect the taxes. This report is designed to keep the board current on activities in the tax collector's office and is for your information only and does not require approval. However, it is recommended that you accept the report so it will be entered into the minutes. What's the pleasure of the board?
I think we will accept the report, so it will be in the minutes as you requested, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
You also have item 15, which is tax refunds. If you want to tell how that works and let us know whether you have any or not. Doesn't look like you do, but something might have come up at the last minute.
It's my pleasure, sir. Well, in compliance with North Carolina General Statute 105-381, the tax collector will submit to the governing body for their approval a list of any tax refunds after the legitimacy of the refund has been established. However, there are no refunds this month to report.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. And item 16, if we've had this before, I just don't recall it. I've thought about it. So if you would give a brief explanation of how it works. I don't know that many of us have seen these requests before.
Yes, sir. We have a few property tax relief programs available to our citizens, the elderly and disabled, and the veterans. And then there is a circuit breaker, and then there's a bunch of other ones, religious exemptions, solar farms, things like that, and they all have different deadlines. When the deadline has met, the tax assessor can no longer accept those applications per statute, and the only people that can accept it is you, the board. Of course, it doesn't guarantee the qualification process. It doesn't guarantee qualification. It just allows me to accept that late application and continue with the qualification process. So we have 5 of those in front of you today. I'd like to go through them one by one, if that's okay with you all.
Let us ask a couple of questions,
Absolutely.
if we may. You said when the deadline is met. I think you probably meant when was it met?
Yes, when it's expired.
When it
Yes, sir.
expired. Okay. So what makes it, why do we have these now? We hadn't had them in the past.
That I can't answer.
And I don't know for sure either. We can do some research to see if the board has done a resolution in the past to give our tax assessor the ability to accept late applications. I've asked the same questions you're asking, and Marion and I have had some conversation about this. I do think probably if we don't have a resolution in place, that might be something that we want to entertain moving forward so that she has the ability to accept a late application and not bring it to the board. As she has stated, it doesn't guarantee that the application will meet the qualifications, but it would just allow her the ability legally to accept a late application. So we will look into that further.
Okay.
Thank you.
I feel like there must be something with the tax assessor. Numerous ones we've had in the past, I think we're very qualified, so.
Sure.
There's something I think we're missing if you could look into it and let the board know.
We will do that.
Because this could be pretty lengthy, I think. And you got 5 today. Will you have potentially more next month?
No, sir.
So this is it?
It looks like it at this point, yes.
Okay, looks like at this point.
Yeah, I haven't received any more. I've been saving them, and I wanted to present them before, the delinquency date, so we can adjust their bills if they are qualified, if you allow me to accept them and they go through the qualification process.
All right, we'll certainly move forward with what you got here on the agenda and wait for some more information about it. So if you want to proceed with the item 16.
Yes, the first one is Jonathan Cole, the second. He submitted an application for disabled veterans exclusion on September 9th, 2024. That is, the deadline for that is June 1st to submit every year for this application, for this property tax relief. The statute says they must show good cause, and he did provide a letter, it's in your packet, of his good cause. Now, good cause is not defined in the statute, and that's for up to you commissioners to determine what good cause is. We have all the applications and the DVA 9 form from the Veterans Administration, and we are prepared to move forward with the qualification process. If you accept us to be able to accept his, allow us to accept his application and proceed forward with the qualification, sorry.
Do you bring a recommendation to us?
Yes, I would recommend that you accept it, the application. He did provide all the other data that he was required to, and I don't see any reason why he can't move forward with this.
Mr. Chairman.
Let me get Ms. Wilkins first.
I just want to, for those who haven't seen the full, I read the whole thing, and the reason his application was late was because he wasn't approved by the VA until August 29th, 2024. And so, and that was past, I guess, the deadline.
Right.
I mean, wasn't approved for disability,
Yeah, I
and
realize
so.
that. Oh, Commissioner Aaron.
And they did date that back to 22, so if he wasn't qualified until now, today's date, I wouldn't be able to put this in front of you. We'd have to turn around and do it in January for him, but that's not the case here.
You have a comment, Commissioner Aaron?
Well, I guess I want to give the tax collector the ability to accept or deny these applications based on the criteria, the rules, and that we give her the authority to accept or reject these applications.
I think that's what the management staff may be bringing to us after some more research is done.
I
is
guess
what I heard.
versus going.
Yeah, I don't like
going
what
through
we
'em.
got here like you.
Yeah, versus going through them. I mean, it make their application more public too. So,
Yeah.
And what we are doing, we are planning on working with the Senior Center and the Veterans Administration. We're going to be having presentations there on a monthly basis to promote these property tax relief programs to our veterans and our seniors and our disabled. That's what we're going to be doing moving forward in the tax office.
Do you plan to recommend all 5 of these be approved?
Yes, sir.
You do?
Well, yes, to accept the application, yes.
Tell me the difference between accept the application and approve then.
It would be your decision to approve, for me to accept the application to continue with the qualification process.
Can
think
you
you said
help
the
me,
same
Madam
thing.
Manager?
I believe you said the same thing. Yes, she's going to be asking you to allow her to accept all 5 of these applications.
And approval?
She'll have to base that on the criteria.
Right.
Each one of
In
them.
other words, we would step out of the approval process.
You will
and
not
she
be in the
would
approval
doing it.
process. That will be her
Okay,
job.
I didn't quite gather that. I think I've got that now. That sounds considerably better.
Okay.
Too, because I don't think we're qualified to make these decisions. And I'm like Mr. Harrington, I don't know that we want all this,
Right.
the individual stuff, well, I'll just hush right there.
So, Mr. Chairman, can I make a motion that we accept the application and let the tax collector determine their qualifications?
And we're talking about all 5 of them, because I got 5 agenda items here.
All 5 applications?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. All right, I do have a motion on the floor. I'm going to ask for a second, then I'll ask for questions there. Second to that motion.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Outlaw.
Can I just make a quick comment? Maybe a question back to people like Jim Wren or people like that
Sure.
served as tax administrators. They might be able to shed some light on this.
I think that's where the manager's headed to. I'm feeling like. Any other questions on the motion itself?
Mr. Chairman, I don't have any questions on the motion, but I want it noted in the minutes that she did just say she accepted these 5, and I think it's incumbent upon us commissioners that we should have read the 5. I read all of them that were in the packet, and they had good cause to be accepted. And, I mean, I'm in agreement with the motion, her doing it, but I also believe the person should also be able to come to us if they want to appeal. They should be able to come before the commissioners if denied, and that's something else we can talk about later.
I'm going to ask the manager to include that on her follow-up information, whether that's legal.
Sure, that's all in the statute.
Right.
The
That
process
can appeal it,
is all in the statute,
including the appeal part.
including
Yes, I'll spell that.
before the board.
Commissioner Wilkins, to your comment, I'm sure I've read every word of each one of them, but I still didn't understand why we've never seen them before. That's my hang
I got you. I got you.
So, you know, the tax collector has given us the opportunity to review, look at all the applications, and then we're giving her the authority to make that determination.
Got it. Yeah. Any other comments on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Uh-huh.
Any opposed by a like sign? Motion carries.
Thank you very
ma'am.
much.
Sorry to
Enjoy
make
your
it so
day.
complicated.
Thank you.
She has the,
I think do you, no? No, that was it. What's your question, Commissioner?
Oak level,
Pardon me?
late application for, oh, that's the same thing? That was,
We actually
okay. she's-
put them
I
all
got you,
five
all
in the same
5
category.
together, okay.
You good?
I was thinking she was doing them at one time. Okay, got you.
Okay. All right, we'll move on then to item number 21, which is Nash County Detention Facility Contract Amendment with Mosley and Associates. Call on the Deputy County Manager, Jonathan Boone, at this time.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon.
Good evening, sir.
Afternoon.
All right, so the first item I have for you is a contract amendment with Mosley Architects. Board may recall during the 2023 legislative session, Nash County was the recipient of a $5 million special allocation for additional improvements at the Nash County Detention Facility. And this contract amendment addresses the services that will be required to design, advertise, evaluate, and then provide construction administration and construction observation services for those improvements. And the amendment is in the amount of $349,832.21. The primary, the largest driver as part of that project will be retrofitting one of the existing open concept dorms, specifically Dorm 3, from a 40 bunk open concept dorm to a 2-man lockdown cell, similar to what we have recently completed and hope to be commissioning here in the toward the end of this month, first of next month, over at the facility in Dorm 1. So there are other improvements that will be funded with the remaining funds from that $5 million grant, but that is the most significant item that will be included in that scope of work. So with that said, I'll be glad to answer any questions that you may have.
Questions of Mr. Boone on this item? Mr. Boone, does this fee include all the other miscellaneous items that will utilize the $5 million total?
Yes, sir. So it's, again, design, bidding, contract administration, construction observation.
But it's not just the addition of converting the second dorm, but it includes the miscellaneous stuff?
All those elements.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, you've heard the request. The motion is to call for a motion to approve the proposed amendment to the contract with Mosley and Associates. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Outlaw, a second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Leggett. Questions on the motion? All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by a like sign? That motion carries. We'll move to item number 22, which is additional change order on the detention facility addition and renovations.
Right, so I mentioned the work to convert Dorm 1 to also 2-man lockdown cells, and we are nearing completion of the second phase of that capital project. And I have an additional change order for you on the project. As we're getting close to the end, we came upon an unexpected item. Most significant of the three in this change order is some issues with the roof on the 1970s portion of the project, that building renovation. We had some leaks with that flat membrane roof and had to accelerate replacement of the membrane roof in order to protect the work that has been done to develop the new intake and booking area over at the jail. So in addition to that item, we had two other items. One was the replacement of a door in the magistrate's office and some security access panels. So change order 15, total amount is $207,750.82, which would bring the amended contract amount to $18,938,469.52. And I'll be glad to answer any questions you may have about this change order.
Questions of Mr. Boone on this item?
I will say, you did not ask, but I will say a portion of this work, majority of the cost of replacing the roof will be funded with funds from that $5 million state-directed grant.
That was going to be my question, sir. All right, seeing none, entertain a motion to approve the change order and authorize the county manager to execute the same.
Move for approval.
Moved by Commissioner Leggett, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Arrington. Questions on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by a like sign? Motion carries as well. Item number 23 is a resolution declaring Nash County intent to obligate North Carolina state-directed grant funds for certain water and/or wastewater infrastructure projects. Mr. Boone?
Yes, sir. The matter we have before us is actually an amendment to the resolution that the board approved back on September 9th. You may recall at that time, the board approved a resolution allocating funds in the county received during the 2023 legislative session for water and wastewater-related improvements within the county. Some of those projects were county-funded, but there were also funds that were allocated to 6 jurisdictions within the county, one of those being the town of Spring Hope. At the time, the resolution set aside $1 million for construction of a new elevated water tank and some other miscellaneous improvements related to their water supply. And the town manager reached out to me last month and indicated that based on cost estimates for the elevated water tank, they would not be able to move forward with that project and asked that the county consider amending the resolution that will allow them to use those funds, again, the $1 million set aside for the town of Spring Hope, for improvements to their groundwater supply wells. But what you'll see is the amended resolution. I am recommending that we take a more general tack to the requested amendment and merely ask that you approve an amendment to the resolution that will allow the town to use those funds for water and/or wastewater infrastructure improvement projects. So if for some reason or other they encounter any additional difficulties, say for some reason or other they decide they can't move forward with the groundwater supply well improvements, that those funds are still available for water and wastewater related improvements. So they certainly can move forward with the groundwater supply well. That would qualify under this language, but just provides them a little more flexibility moving forward. So again, the original September 9th resolution is intact. We're just going in and replacing the language specific to the town of Spring Hope, removing the language that addresses the elevated water tank and other miscellaneous improvements, and just merely saying the funds are available for water and/or wastewater infrastructure improvement projects.
Questions of Mr. Boone on this item? I know you have talked to our legislator, and he is fine, one that received the helped us get the money, and he's fine with this change.
Yes, sir, that's correct, and I appreciate you mentioning that.
Okay. All right, entertain a motion for approval.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion by Commissioner Combs, there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Belfield, Commissioner Arrington. Questions on the motion? All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by a like sign. Motion carries. Did I misspeak? Huh? Did I misspeak?
Nope. That's fine.
Okay. I heard both of you at the same time.
Yeah, it was me. Okay.
Oh, well, it was. All right, we'll now move on to item number,
24?
where are we at?
24.
24, thank you, sir. Engineering service contract amendment for Central Nash Water Sewer District water supply wells. Mr. Boone?
Yes, sir. I have another contract amendment for the board's consideration, be Contract Amendment 2. May recall, the county received ARPA funds, and a number of utility-related projects were selected for funding, one of which was the development of groundwater supply wells for the Central Nash Water Sewer District. Currently, we purchase the water we provide to our customers from the city of Rocky Mount. This would augment that water supply by developing a groundwater supply well at the county's NC-97 Industrial Park. So the first phase of work was to go in and redevelop the wells that were developed during a previous industrial project on the site. We have done that, have preliminary results in terms of both quantity and quality. And this contract amendment would take the next phase of work for one of those wells, well number 6 specifically, which we determined will yield over 400 gallons per minute. We want to develop that well and then allow that well to provide water to, again, the Central Nash Water Supply District. So this contract amendment is the amount of $175,000 for that work, approximately $89,800 for the design, advertisement, and bid administration, and then $85,200 for contract administration and construction observation. Again, this is all tied to the county-funded ARPA project for the groundwater supply wells at the NC-97 Industrial Park.
Questions of Mr. Boone on this request? Mr. Boone, that one well, percentage-wise, will supply what percent of the water we are currently purchasing from our bulk water supply?
On the residential side, a majority of the water supply.
Okay.
But it will also provide, certainly augment the county's water supply, and as the industrial park develops, that same water supply will be available to support those industrial uses. But as it stands today, would provide a majority of the water we need for our residential customers in that district.
In the whole district?
Correct.
Interesting. Thank you, sir. You've heard the request, entertain a motion to approve the proposal.
Move for approval.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Leggett. Questions on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by a like sign. Motion carries as well. Item 25 is our CD landfill bar area development project. Mr. Boone?
Yes, sir. My last item, as we continue operations at the county's C&D landfill on Duke Road, we've identified the need to construct the next 2 cells to receive that material. And also, as part of that project, we'll generate material that we will use for the weekly cover required as part of landfill operations. We've worked with Garrett and Moore, who's worked with the county the last few years on projects at the landfill to design and advertise this project. The project was advertised back on September 11th. We had a mandatory pre-bid meeting on September 25th. We opened bids on October 17th. We had 5 bidders that submitted bids. The lowest responsible bidder was identified as Shamrock Construction with a base bid of $686,847. And we also elected to exercise alternative 1 for $60,000 for a recommended contract award of $746,847. And just to give you an idea, on the screen, if you're familiar with the landfill to the north, how well my pointer will work. We'll try it. It's not working well at all. Well, you can see the dark areas there. There's two dark areas adjacent to one another. Those are the two cells we're proposing to construct. And that polygon southwest so the lower right-hand corner would be the stockpile area where we would stockpile the material that would be accumulated from excavating those 2 cells. And then immediately to the west of that is a stormwater quality pond. But we're nearing completion of the cells that are currently in operation. To receive that material, we need to start planning for expansion of the landfill. So this accomplishes 2 goals. It gives us the next 2 disposal cells, also generates cover material we use for daily operations at the landfill. And again, we're recommending the contract be awarded to Shamrock Construction in the amount of $746,847. I'd be glad to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve the contract award to Shamrock Construction Company as presented and authorize the county manager to sign the contract. Excuse me.
Move for approval.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Leggett, is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Belfield.
Arrington.
Harrington?
Arrington. Arrington.
Okay, I got you. Yeah. Commissioner Arrington. Any questions on the motion? All in favor of that motion, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed by a like sign. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Boone. Next item is Nash County Retiree Medical Plan, and I'll turn it over to our county manager, Ms. Sapsford, to make this presentation.
Thank you. In the October 7th, 2024 Board of Commissioners meeting, Mr. Kerrigan presented to the board a proposal to transition post-65 and disabled retirees from our current Blue Medicare Supplement and Blue Medicare RX plan to an all-inclusive Medicare Advantage plan with drug coverage. In last month's meeting, the board approved this change subject to review and approval of the county manager. Our human resources staff acted swiftly to schedule and hold meetings with our retirees, and they also made a recording of the meeting available. Staff have answered and responded to phone calls and emails on the subject and have received an overwhelming positive response from our retirees. However, there have been some misunderstandings and some misinformation being shared, and as you heard from Ms. Sheila Freeman this morning, there are some retirees that do not favor the change. In light of this and the short runway that we have to make this decision, I think it would be in the best interest of the county and our retirees to put a hold on this item. The additional time will ensure that all parties are knowledgeable and have a full understanding of what the change would mean to their individual circumstances. That is another issue that we're having. We're not getting all of our questions answered from our broker at this time, and we all need to have a better understanding. We appreciate the board's consideration and support, and will take full advantage of having had started this conversation. The recommendation is to allow myself and staff to continue conversations and education and to research alternative retiree medical benefits with the plan to entertain a proposal in your August 2025 meeting. And Chairman, I know you and I had a discussion about that particular month.
I'm fine.
Yeah, it's the first of the year when the change would be made, so that just gives us a nice runway, but we would like to have the board's blessing in not pulling the trigger on this decision and continuing to work through this process.
Does that mean the item would come back before the board at another time?
Absolutely.
Okay, all right. Questions on this item?
Would you just like to make a comment?
Sure.
Thank you. I'd just like to express my thanks for just pressing the pause button on the implementation of this so that all the people that are involved and affected will really know. I did hear feedback that it was such a short notice on the meetings and people weren't able to attend, and, they're the ones being affected and really need to know. So thank you for, taking extra time on this, and hopefully we can get it right for them.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what we want. We want a win-win. We want it to be a good decision for the county. We want it to be a good decision for all of our retirees.
Right.
Other comment? I'll just say it's good to see all four of our former retirees here this morning. Appreciate you being here and waiting through, and I guess you got an education how things work up here, or re-education. But thank you for sticking with us as we get to item number 26 this morning. All right, I'll call for a motion to approve what the county manager has asked for on this item.
So moved.
I'll have a motion by Commissioner Belfield. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Outlaw. Questions on the motion? All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by a like sign. Motion stands approved, and we'll be waiting to hear back from staff on this item. Item number 27 is strengthening the Nash County longevity pay policy to recognize employees' loyalty. I'll turn this one over to you, Madam Manager.
Thank you. So as the board is aware, I, along with management team members, have been surveying and evaluating benefits that can be offered to Nash County employees to strengthen Nash County as an employer of choice. Some proposals have been shared with you, and today I would like to formally request your consideration of the following modifications to the county's longevity pay policy. Nash County's current longevity pay policy does not allow for a break in service for an employee to get credit for years of service. Consequently, Nash County has current employees that have been previous employees of ours and only get credit since their last start date. The stories and scenarios vary, but due to life circumstances, we have employees leave Nash County and then choose to return. We would like for our longevity pay policy to reflect an employee's total years of service with Nash County government. This is not unusual in a longevity policy. We have found other local governments that use this tool to attract seasoned employees. For instance, Wilson County will provide an employee a longevity benefit based on their total years of service in the local government retirement system. Here in Nash, we know we lost a number of public safety personnel last year while working through our salary study. Now that we've been able to realign salaries, we are benefiting from a number of return employees. One way that we can recommit to these employees and others is to recognize their previous service. Additionally, as we survey other local governments and the latest data on employee tenure, we learn that more and more our competitors are offering a longevity incentive sooner. The U.S. Department of Labor reported in September of 2024, the median number of years a worker stays with an employer is 3.9 years, which is down from 4.1 years just 2 years earlier. Since COVID-19, the employee-employer relationship has changed in many ways, one of which is an expectation from employees that the employer will invest in them in multiple ways. They are seeking flexible schedules, tuition assistance, and acknowledgement that they have made a commitment, among other things. In an effort to be competitive and an employer of choice, Nash County is exploring ways to not only attract, but retain our talented workforce. Considering these factors, we would like to propose that Nash County consider enhancing the longevity pay policy to begin after 3 full years of employment, recognizing years 3 and 4 with a 1.5% longevity pay of annual base salary. I spent some additional time on this subject over the weekend, and I've got some additional comments I'd like to share, if you will allow me. I understand that this is a hard sell for some of you who have some resistance to 3 years being worthy of a longevity benefit. I would just like to share a few more thoughts that I hope will sway your support. Employment has changed. Our new employment history has been written. Often referred to as the Great Resignation, 2021 was a big year for people leaving their jobs, and 2022 continued the trend. Going into 2023, the job posting website Indeed noted that employers should focus on employee retention to control hiring costs and keep productivity high. Nash County has close to 150 employees that have been employed less than 3 years. There are another 70 in years 3 and 4. In total, these employees make up a full third of Nash County's workforce. Retaining our current employees takes a strategic approach. Knowing what motivates our employees, from growth potential and compensation to flexible work schedules and recognition, are important keys to acknowledging our workforce and showing our appreciation for their decision to be a part of the Nash County team. The average cost of training a new employee is $1,252. where the average longevity payment to a 3 or 4-year employee is $850. Retention doesn't just control hiring costs, it stabilizes the workplace for all workers, keeping productivity high. When positions stay filled, all workers experience consistency, which translates into relationship building, a sense of belonging, and loyalty. Feelings of workplace anxiety, frustration, and agitation are reduced, and the overall workforce is happier. Thanks to this board, Nash County is staying competitive with salaries, and making these 2 adjustments with our longevity pay policy will strengthen our benefits package. Longevity pay is dispersed the 10th of December, and your adoption of these changes today will impact approximately 120 staff members. As I stated earlier, we have 70 employees that have been employed at least 3 years, but less than 5 years, where our current policy starts. There are another estimated 50 employees who have previous years of service with the county and have returned. This proposal is affordable, it is sustainable, it makes sense for a 2024 employer working to strengthen a benefit package and make Nash County an employer of choice. I hope that you can support this request, and I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Comments or questions from Commissioner or the manager on these 2 items?
We need to be competitive with longevity pay along with the other counties. And therefore, I would support it.
Other comments?
Got a question?
Sure.
I want to make sure that I understand how this is paid out. This is not necessarily like a pay increase that goes in someone's paycheck every month. It
No,
is
ma'am.
a one-time payment.
Yes, ma'am. It's a one-time payment that happens on the 10th of December. That is a percentage of the employee's annual base salary.
What is the current longevity pay? It's at 5 years now, is that?
5 years is where it starts now,
Is
and
it-
that's at 2.5%.
2.5, okay. And the proposal, or your recommendation for the years of service is that it is, any break would be covered, not necessarily like if they were gone 6 months or gone a year, it's regardless of any amount of time. Even if they were gone 10 years, they could come back and basically just keep tacking on to their years of service.
That's what the proposal is,
And that would be with Nash County only or all counties?
with Nash County only,
Okay.
Nash County service only.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Wilkins?
I can't agree with this for, first of all, I think Nash County is very generous to its employees by way of the 5 years. We give 2.5% longevity pay, whereas the federal government doesn't even begin longevity pay for 10 years, and I believe the state does not until 10 years, and even then, the federal only gives 1.5% longevity pay. I think ours goes all the way up to, 6% at 20 to 25 years?
I think it's actually 6.5% at
Okay,
25 years.
6.5 at 20 to 25 years, where the federal government only gives 3.25% for 20 to 25 years. I think we're very generous in that, and as insofar as an employee leaving and coming back and retaining whatever service they had, if they come back within a 5-year period, yes, I could agree to them retaining their years of service. But when they're gone longer than 5 years, 10, 15 years, and then they want to come back and we give them, I just see an HR nightmare. I don't know how Mr. Carrigan feels, but I see an HR nightmare. And then like I said, the three, having them be here just 3 years and get 1.5%. I believe it came, if someone's making $30,000, they get about, what, $450, I think, in a longevity check. And I just think the employees bear some loyalty. The county is loyal to its employees, taking care of them. But I believe the employees bear some loyalty because the county goes through training them for a position, and that costs. And if they leave and come back, if they're not in that same position, we retrain again. And so I'm sorry, but I'm against the 3 years and 1.5%. And if they want to maintain their years of service, that they come back within a 5-year period. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, ma'am. Other comments from commissioners?
I would support the comments of Commissioner Wilkins. I just think that's fair.
Others wish to speak?
I'm in agreement with the 5-year. I don't think you can just, come back in 10 years. Everything would have changed. 5 years is, I think, reasonable.
All right, anyone else?
I'll just say that, again, 3 years, 4 years puts us in line with some of the other surrounding counties, so I still say I support it.
Mr. Lay?
I would be willing to support the year 3 and year 4 longevity payment, and I would also support Commissioner Wilkins' recommendation on, for cumulative years of service must come back within 5 years.
I guess everyone else has said where they were. Dan, you wish to make a comment? You good?
I'm in agreement with the 3 to 4 years of service. 5 years being gone might be long enough to go back and pick that up, but I kind of agree with that.
Okay.
But I certainly would support the longevity pay in the 3rd and 4th year.
All right, and everybody spoke. Where I'm at is I'm going to support the longevity if you're back within 5 years, pick up where you were. And on the 3 to 4 years, I personally think 5 years is where longevity should start. When I look where other counties are, we are certainly, you're in much better shape to work for Nash County, particularly on the high end, where you end up at 6.5% and 6%, 5%. We're above everything I could find in those categories. And there were a few towns and a few counties that did go below 5 years, but it really wasn't that many yet. It may well be in a number of years. But with that said, I couldn't support that part of it, but would support the revised part of the second item with the 5 years. And with the complexity of what I just heard, Madam Manager, if you're okay, I'm gonna break it down into the 2 items and take individual votes. Otherwise,
fine.
I don't know how we're gonna know what we got, if that'll be okay with you. So, what I'd like to do is get a motion to approve to remove restrictions in longevity pay to allow employees to receive credit for all of their cumulative years of service, ever how you want to modify that particular item to fit what you've heard here today. Did I make the request clear, or do I need to make it clearer?
Yeah. Yeah, say it again now.
Okay, what I'm asking for, first item on the list is to remove restrictions in the longevity pay policy to allow employees to receive credit for all of their cumulative years of service with the county. I'm asking for a motion to approve that or a amended motion to approve that, which is what you've heard from several of you today.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Wilkins.
I would make a motion to approve that, but with the addition that employees must return within 5 years of their separation date.
All right, I have a motion on the floor. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Outlaw. Every commissioner understand the motion. Mr. Belfield, you understand the motion?
Now, you're saying that they must return within 5 years
That was the motion.
to qualify.
That was the motion Commissioner Wilkins stated, yes, sir.
Or at least on the 5th year.
But the 3 and 4 year,
We're going to address that next, sir. I broke it down. We're going to address that next.
okay, okay.
This motion
okay.
does not address that.
All right.
Any other questions on the motion? All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed by a like sign? That motion carries. The next item is to begin longevity pay benefits after the completion of 3 full years of service by providing a 1.5% annual base pay, which would be annual, 1.5% of annual base pay, and I call this basically a Christmas bonus, just to make sure you understand it doesn't have anything to do with your salary. It is a longevity check that comes near the end of the year. And it would be to just for years 4 and 5, or excuse me, 3 and 4, you would get the 1.5%, and then the rest of the policy would stay the same, which meant that 5 years you get 2.5, 10 you get 4, 15 you get 5, 20 you'd get 6, and 25 you would get 6.5. So that motion is as stated here and as it reads in your agenda that I'm asking for.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Do we have any estimate on what that would cost the county?
$58,000.
Other questions on the item? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
So basically, the motion would be whether or not we support item 2 in the recommendation.
That is correct.
Okay.
Entertain a motion.
Move
So
for
moved.
approval.
I have a motion by Commissioner Leggett for approval, a second by Commissioner Belfield, I think. All right, any questions? And that's for approval as stated, or questions or comments on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor of that motion, let it be known by raising your hand. I count 3. Those that are not in favor of it, raise your hand. I count 4, so that motion fails.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, we're now on item number 28, which is the public comment policy that we started at the last meeting. You received a revised policy from the county attorney with some discussions on that policy as well, and he is here today to present the policy that we will be entertaining a motion on for approval today. Mr. Gaynor?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good afternoon, actually, I think.
Actually, so.
Again, as the chairman said, we had presented the proposed policy last month, and there were questions related to that proposed policy and requested revisions, which I made and circulated after the last meeting. And this new policy reflects those concerns, and I believe I have incorporated everybody's concerns in this new policy, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have about that.
Any questions on the policy? Seeing none, I entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Have a motion by Commissioner Outlaw. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Combs. Any questions now? Everybody know, it's as stated on your iPads today, what we'll be voting on. There are no questions, entertain a motion for approval of the, let me start back over. Have a motion on the floor and a second. All in favor of the motion as stated, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by a light sign. Motion carries. Thank you, sir. Now we're on 29, which is budget amendments. And I'll call on our finance director, Mary Hogan, at this time.
Hello?
Good afternoon.
We have just a few today. The first one is the following amendments are presented to the board consideration for fiscal year 24-25. This budget amendment makes funds available from the Granville Vance District Health Department to engage in consumer education and feedback to decrease health disparities in rural counties. There's no county funds required for this amendment. The next one is for emergency services. This budget amendment makes funds available from Duke Clinical Research Institute for public relations. There's no county funds required for this amendment. The third one is for Parks and Recreation. This budget amendment is to budget fund balance appropriation to cover parks improvement expenses at Glover Park as per the agreement between the town of Nashville and Nash County. This funding will be used for FY25 projects, which includes a scoreboard upgrade and facility audio system improvements. Both projects were approved by Nashville Town Council during the October 1st meeting. This is a reimbursement situation, so we would just pay the money in the beginning and then we'll be reimbursed for it in the future. The next one is this budget amendment makes funds available from the opioid settlement. The funds will be used for naloxone distribution, peer support, and post-overdose response team, collaborative strategic planning, and travel and training. This is the project that Tia's working on. This had been previously approved by this board. We're just going to try to get it on the books now so she can use it. The final one, this budget amendment is to budget fund balance appropriations to fund the C&D landfill borrow area development project at Nash County Landfill that Jonathan spoke about earlier. In addition to constructing 2 additional disposal cells, the project includes installation of a wet pond and other measures to meet erosion control requirements and development of a soil stockpile that can be used to meet and cover requirements at the landfill.
All right, any questions on either of those?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
I have one question on number 4, and Tia May can help with this. Professional services, $500,000. Have they already been hired or contracts served? What exactly does that include?
So that professional services, can you hear me? The professional services line is for the peer supports that we discussed for the detention center, and also peer supports to support the post-overdose response team. So we have not posted or filled those positions. This just makes it available so that we can.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions on budget amendments? Seeing none, I entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Wilkins. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Leggett. Questions on either of the amendments? Seeing none, all in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by a light sign. Budget amendment stand approved. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
We are now on item number 30, which is commissioner comments. I'll call on any commissioner that has any comments, make them at this time. No comments?
I have a comment.
Please go ahead.
Feel like I've been kind of chatty this meeting, but a lot of important things. So Monday, November 11th is Veterans Day. I'd like to express my appreciation to the county for the resolution that was passed to support Operation Greenlight. Having had family members, most of which who've already passed on, that have served in the military, makes it very personal to recognize those who've served in the military. However, it makes it more personal, I believe, to be able to get up every day and live in a free country, knowing that it's our veterans that have stood up for our freedom that we are able to enjoy today. Also, I would like to recognize that Farm City Week is coming up It's being celebrated the week before Thanksgiving this year. Farm City Week helps to highlight the relationships between rural farmers and urban consumers and the businesses that help support the agricultural industry. Farm City Week also serves to recognize all of the work that farmers do to provide food and fiber for our neighbors in the cities. Our local cooperative extension and Farm Bureau will be hosting an event that the commissioners will be receiving an invitation to, so please keep an eye out for that. Also, since I have your attention, I will remind you that it is harvest season, and please keep an eye out on the roads for farm equipment. We all tend to get in a hurry, so if you get behind a slow-moving vehicle, tractor, combine, just take that opportunity to be thankful for the food that's on your table and for the work that the farmers do every day. And finally, I'll say thank you to Commissioner Cone for his service to Nash County.
Thank you, ma'am. You didn't remind us to vote tomorrow, if we hadn't voted.
Yes, go vote.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Other commissioners have comments at this time? I'll be very brief. The housing report, we did have 69 permits issued during the month of October for new houses. That was 53 stick-built homes and 16 modular units. They were by 19 different builders, and again, were scattered pretty much throughout the county for the most part. Those are the ones that are located outside of the city of Rocky Mount. Of course, we had another slow month on commercial construction, and there were $2 million worth of permits issued for commercial construction. I would advise the commissioners that I will be contacting you during the next, between now and the next meeting about committee assignments that you currently serve on. We have some that we would need to be putting different people in as the board changes a little bit. And if you would think about where you're at before I call you and see if there's anything that you are doing that you don't like to do, or if there's anything that you're not doing that you'd like to do, I'd love to work on that during the next month to have that available so we could take care of it pretty soon and be ready for the seating of the next board. And I'll also remind you that in December, we also elect new officers or new chair and vice chair for the Board of Commissioners. As I stated back in May, I think, I would have no issue at all if no commissioner wishes to serve chairman for a while. I've done it for a pretty long time, and I'd like for you all to discuss among yourselves, and I'll be contacting you to get your comments on that moving forward. But please keep that in mind, and let's make it a smooth transition at our next meeting, and hopefully have that worked out and have some agreement on that. But please understand that I'm certainly willing for someone else to serve as chair for a while. It's a board decision. Everybody gets a vote, but you're not going to hurt my feelings is what I want you to understand that. I've done the best I can with it, but if somebody else wishes to take it on, I'm going to be happy about that as well. That's my comments. Any other commissioner with any comments? Seeing none, I'll turn it over to the manager for item number 31.
Thank you. Nash County offices will be closed next Monday, the 11th, in observance of Veterans Day. The Engagement Committee has a recognition event planned on Tuesday, November the 12th, to thank our veteran employees and the veterans that are citizens. On November the 19th, as Commissioner Leggett mentioned, Farm to City Week, the breakfast will be on November the 19th at the Ag Center, starting at 8 a.m. Offices will be closed on November 28th and 29th in observance of Thanksgiving. And we're working on the calendar for the 2025 calendar year for your meeting schedule. So as soon as we have a draft of that available, I will send it out to the board members, and you all can share with me any comments or concerns that you have about the meeting calendar for 2025. And our finance staff will be releasing the fiscal year 26 budget calendar to staff later this week, I think by the end of this week. And I'll be sharing that with you as well. And on that budget calendar, you will need to make note of the times that we're scheduling our small commissioner meetings, our work session meetings, and then the retreat. Those dates will be on that calendar when we release it. And that is all I have.
All right, any questions of the manager on that report? Mr. Wilson?
Just one, the nonprofits when are they notified to submit?
That's on the calendar.
That is on the calendar,
on
and
the
so
calendar.
they're notified when to submit their application?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
Other comments? If not, that completes our agenda for today, except for closed session, and we do have a closed session called for, it is for economic development, it is for attorney-client privilege, and a personnel item as well. I'm not familiar with any of those other than economic development. Do we expect any action to be taken?
And excuse me, Chairman, I think we had those on there as placeholders.
I got you.
We have economic development, and I believe that is all.
That should be it, yes.
Economic development it is? Okay, well, we will not have action to be taken by the board after the closed session then. I'd entertain a motion to go into closed session at this time for economic development update from our economic development staff.
So moved.
I move by Commissioner Wilkins. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Harrington. Questions on the motion? All in favor of that motion, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed by a like sign? Motion carries. I'll call us back to order in the regular Nash County Board of Commissioners meeting for November the 4th at this time. We did have a closed session that only involved economic development. There was no action taken. Therefore, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn the November the 4th meeting at this time.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Wilkins, second by Commissioner Leggett. Questions on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed by a like sign? Stand adjourned, and thank you, everyone, for your attendance and participation today.